Being called Susan Nithyananda. Let's begin. Day 9 of Paramashivoham Level 1. Please put your hands together. For the Sadguru Vandanam, sit straight with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Om
Nithyanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatītam Gagana Sadrusham Tattvamasyaadi Lakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatītam Triguna-rahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami.
Anandam, being called Susa, Shri Nithya Bhavan. Please put on your cameras. We'll get started with the session. Masters who have happened have always said that you are bliss. Your true nature is bliss. Unfortunately, for human beings, it has not been their own experience on a constant basis. Once in a way, you may have had moments of joy. And that joy has always happened for a reason. You got a promotion at work, so you're happy. You got married to the person whom you always wanted to. You loved, so you're happy. You had a child, so you're happy. You built a house, so you're happy. So always there is a particular reason that makes you happy. Sadly, that happiness is very transient. It does not last, isn't it? Bhagavan says, each one of you inside is the space of eternal bliss. Unfortunately, the impurities in your body, mind, and the more subtle layers of your existence does not allow you to realize the true bliss that you are. They prevent you from experiencing that inner bliss, which is actually inherently there inside you. So, in today's session, in Paramashivoham Level 1, is about Nithyananda Spurana, the flowering of the eternal bliss. So, welcoming all of you to this session, an introduction to Nithyananda Spurana. Please settle down, get into the space of listening. What is Ananda? Ananda is the energy that never reduces. I welcome you all with my love and respect. Let me first introduce the word Nithyananda Spurana to all of you. Nithyananda. Nithya is eternal, Ananda is bliss, and Spurana is flowering. Continuously, eternal bliss is flowering within us, happening within us, but we keep stopping that happening. Ananda means the feeling or the energy that never subsides. The opposite of Ananda is Nanda, which means that which can leave you, which can be taken away from you. Ananda means that which never leaves you, which can never be taken away from you, and which will never reduce. Ananda can never be affected by a certain time or a certain space. It happens irrespective of time and space. Anything that changes based on time and space is Nanda. Ananda is untouched, unaffected by time and space. It happens irrespective of them. Anything that will not change based on time and space is Ananda. Right now, whatever you think of as Ananda is only joy. It is not bliss. And joy changes based on time and space. At a particular time, we are blissful. In a particular space, we are blissful. If we try to reproduce that same time or space, we find that we are not as blissful as before. Like you took a vacation to a certain place and you really thoroughly enjoyed it. Your first experience of that place was really good. And you started believing that the place was responsible for that joy that you experienced. Go back to the same place again and see if it is going to happen in the same manner. Is the intensity going to be the same? For all you know, the next time when you visit that place, you'll be bored. So understand, the same place or space may not give you that same blissful experience as before. That is what I mean when I say that the joy that we know is subject to time and space and also inconsistent at that. The truth is that in each and every one of us, there is an energy that is continuously flowing, which never changes. There is an energy that can never be taken away from us. Of course, time and again, all the masters who appeared on the planet Earth say that in every being, Ananda is flowing. Apart from the masters saying, even if we start searching inside, we'll understand that if there is no Ananda sustaining us at the bottom line, we won't be able to move even an inch in our lives. The truth is that even your breathing, the inhaling and the exhaling that is happening is because of the underlying bliss, the underlying Ananda. What is Ananda? Our life continues because either we experience this bliss or we hope to experience this bliss someday. The hope of the bliss is what keeps us alive, even if we are not aware of it. Only because of this Ananda, even the breathing, the inhaling and exhaling is happening in us. Either we experience the bliss or we are hopeful of experiencing the bliss someday in our life. It is the continuous flow of Ananda that makes our life also flow. Otherwise, our life will not flow. And that is why still we are alive. That is why we are still breathing. And that is why our system is still functioning. This energy that we call as Ananda is continuously working within our being. So, can I take a moment to ask our delegates, participants, are you all with us? Do we understand bliss, Ananda? You can respond in the chat box or give me a thumbs up. All right. Thank you, Lincoln, Susan, and Kinley for the response. So we continue. all masters agree on one point. There may be differences in ideologies on various other aspects, but all the masters who have happened agree on this one point, that we are bliss. If we ask about food, some of them will say to have only vegetarian food. Some will say that it doesn't matter, you can even have non-vegetarian food. Some will even say that we should fast until enlightenment. Some will say there are no food restrictions. Each one will have their own opinion about it. If you ask about marriage, some will say don't marry, be a celibate. Some will say you can marry, being a householder is okay. Some will say you can marry even 4 or 5 times. Marrying 4 or 5 times is a sure short way for enlightenment, says Bhagavan. If we marry 4 or 5 times, we can't manage our life without getting enlightened. It becomes a basic necessity then. If we marry once, enlightenment is an option. If we marry more than once, enlightenment is a basic need without which we cannot live. Anyway, jokes apart, each of these masters have got their own idea, their own opinion on every subject. No two masters agree with each other on the same subject, but when it comes to this one concept, Ananda, all of them agree to the statement that we are bliss and our inherent nature is bliss. There is no being on the planet Earth that is not filled with bliss. In every one of us, bliss is flowing. In every being, bliss is continuously happening. As far as this one concept is concerned, there is no master who disagrees. If all the masters are agreeing on this one point, then it must be a fundamental truth. Whatever has been your experience of life so far, leave it all aside. When so many masters are telling you that you are bliss, then it has to be the truth. Let us have the faith in that truth. Internalize this and we will work out techniques of experiencing that truth. In the United States of America, 115 years ago, a young lady asked the great sage Swami Vivekananda, what is life? Vivekananda says, come with me to India, I shall teach you. She asked him, what will you teach me? He said, I shall teach you how to die. The fact is that in the mystery of death lies the answer to life. The question is about life, but the answer is about death. It seems very strange, but what Swami Vivekananda is saying is, if you know the secret of death, the quality of your life will be different. Your very understanding and attitude towards everything will change. When you know how to die, you will know how to live. Your whole approach towards living will change when you understand the secret of death. Your understandings and attitude towards everything will change. Death is not a mere incident at the end of your life. It is a profound knowing. If you know how to die, you know how to live. Bhagavan says, living and dying, living and leaving are two sides of the same thing. Your life will be totally different once you understood death. The Nithyananda Spurana program journeys you through your own life, simultaneously revealing the secrets of death. It makes your inner space pure and clean by unloading the baggage of emotions that you usually carry with you. It teaches you to live blissfully and thereafter live peacefully. It puts death in the right perspective so that your life becomes more joyful and meaningful. Once asking us neither to doubt nor believe this truth, just have the courage to experiment. People who don't believe will never allow these words to enter into them. This is one group. Those and people who don't believe, both are not going to be helped. Both are going to be in trouble. Because when you don't believe, you're probably sitting here in the session, but you're not allowing the words to enter you. So there is no scope for transformation. When you start believing, even then there is a problem, because you'll just sit and you will not work with those truths. You will not experiment with those truths. So both are not right, says Bhagavan. I always tell people, the moment we declare that we believe something, we stop experimenting with it. We stop following it. We just hang it on the wall. For that matter, the moment you hang my picture on the wall, you have made plans to escape experimenting with what I have to say. He says, worshipping me is a very convenient way of escaping from me. You'll idolize, put him up on the wall and worship, but you will never work with the truths. And that is a very cunning and a convenient way of escaping the master. Have the courage to experiment with the truths. Understand, we classify things continuously. The moment we classify, we start thinking that we have understood everything about it, that we know everything about it. And that is why I always tell people, only for a maximum of 6 months, you live with your spouse, your husband or wife, that's all. After that, you create an image about him or her, and your spouse in turn creates an image about you. After this is done, you live only with the images and you don't live with the real being. It takes real intelligence to live with the person instead of living with the image. You'll only say, I know this guy, I know her. You have a certain idea, an image about that person, and you start living with that person, which is a very foolish way to live life. Only the intelligent people will live with the person in the moment, every moment, instead of living with images. The problem is because we continuously, constantly, we classify things. The moment we classify, we stop relating with the real person. The best way to get the most out of this program is to come with an open mind. Very deep spiritual truths will be revealed, and you will have the maximum benefit when you are here with an open mind. When you come in with an empty mind, with no prejudice, you can completely absorb what I am saying in its totality. If you come in with your knowledge, you will be constantly comparing every word of mine with what you already think that you know, with what you have heard about from someone else earlier, and you will simply miss what I am trying to tell. You can absorb me only if there is some space in you to take me in. If you are already full, you cannot take me in. Bhagavan says the best way to come into this program is to come with an open mind which is ready to receive. If you want to experience me, if you really want to gain something for having taken time out for these few days, be like an empty cup here. I will then fill you up beautifully. Be totally open and receptive. Be like a child, innocent and curious, like a sponge that is ready to absorb, and that is enough. Why are we not able to relate directly? Why are we not able to listen with an open mind? For this, we need to understand the science behind the working of the mind. So when Bhagavan is telling us to be here, available, open, receptive, like a sponge that is ready to absorb, it means that more often than not, we are not in that space, isn't it? And why is it so? Why are we not able to be so receptive? And why are we not able to listen with an open mind? For this, we need to understand the science behind the working of the mind. Look at this picture, which shows how the mind works. The diagram shows how the information that enters the eye is processed. Actually, not just the information through the eye, but the information that comes in through all the 5 senses. That is through the nose, the ears, the tongue, the touch, and the eye. Just for an understanding, we are taking the example of the eye. Note this picture. We will be coming back to this as we continue with this understanding. All of the information that enters the eye goes to the chakshu, which is a digital signal processor inside of you. The digital signal processor will be converting the image into some kind of a digital signal, which from there jumps into the chitta. The chitta is your memory. When you see something first, the eye sees it. Now, there is something called the chakshu in Sanskrit, which digitizes the information seen by the eye. It is something like a digital signal processor, a DSP. The signal or the input is then converted into a digital file by this chakshu. As I said earlier, this conversion happens to the information received through all the 5 senses and not just the eye. Then the file goes to the chitta, that is the memory. In the memory, a little more work is done on the file. It analyzes the file that's been received through the process of elimination as a first step to identify what has been received. For example, you are seeing me now. The file is processed through the chakshu and taken to the chitta, the memory. The memory will start analyzing it. It will start eliminating, as in, this is not an animal. This is not a plant. This is not a rock. This is the process of elimination that happens in the memory. Then the file goes to the manas, or the mind. The mind does the job of identification. It will conclude, this is a human being who is teaching a class. The mind concludes, this is it. The memory concludes, this is not. The mind concludes, this is it. Now, from here, the whole file takes a quantum leap to the ego, and your ego will decide to act based on your past experiences. If you have stored past experiences with similar classes, like say some yoga or meditation classes that you have attended earlier, and they have been good for you, they've been okay, you had a good feeling about it, all right for you, then you will decide to sit here, or else you will think that it is better to move on. Okay, so let us go through that diagram once again. See, the eye is seeing, it passes on the image to the DSP, the chakshu, which is a digital signal processor. From here, the file moves on to the memory, the chitta. All right, the chitta is what says, this is not, this is not, this is not. It does the process of elimination. From here, the file moves to the manas, which is the mind, which does the process of identification. This is it. Okay, a human being taking class. From here, from the eye seeing to the mind concluding, all of this happens as a conscious action. The moment the mind concludes, from there, the file takes a jump into your ego. And this process is unconscious. This function happens based on your past memories of similar experiences. Like I said earlier, if you had a decent experience, with a good experience out of such classes, the mind will decide, hey, hang on, stay there. You may get something good out of this. But for instance, you have not had a very great experience in a previous class that you might have attended earlier somewhere. Immediately, the mind overpowers your being and decides, hey, move out. This is not for you. Even without your active involvement. As an unconscious process, the decision is taken by your ego. The first step is you seeing me, the eye passing the information to the chakshu converting it into a digital signal, the memory doing the elimination work, this is not, then the mind doing the identification of the file, this is it, and then the whole file takes a quantum jump to the ego. In this zone of stored memories, you decide whether to sit here or leave. I always give this example to understand the process of elimination versus that of identification. Now, let us say you want to find the word home in the dictionary. You start from the letter A and you eliminate, not A, not B, not C, right? Until you come to the letter H. Now, until you come to the letter H, it is only an elimination process. Once you come to H, then it becomes an identification process, isn't it? You start identifying H-O, then H-O-N, then you come to H-O-N-E. So this is basically to give you an understanding of the elimination and the identification process. Now, even in the identification process, actually there is elimination, but that cannot be considered elimination because your whole attitude is different during this time. Until you come to H, you do not even look at anything. You only go on eliminating. But once you come to H becomes your standpoint. Then you start looking for H-O, H-O-M, etc. Now, there is a difference in your attitude in the identification process compared to your attitude during the elimination process. It is like this. You have thousands of files stored in your mind. Now, let us say you're seeing me. You will first start eliminating, this is not a stone, this is not a tree, this is not an animal, and then you come to man and say, this is a man. Now, once you come to man, you start identifying me, 6 feet tall, saffron colored, talking about meditation, my master, Nithyananda. So you are eliminating until you find the right classification. And that is the first step. Going in depth into that classification to identify what is seen is the next step. Are you all understanding the process of the working of the mind? The process of elimination and then the identification. Once you have a standpoint with reference to your identification, you go in depth to classify it further. Now, elimination happens in the breadth. Identification is depth. The elimination process is like handling many files. The identification process is like going deeply into a specific file. Now, let us call the time for the process between the I and the mind as TP. For the interruption. So if you're going to call the time for the process between the I and the mind as TP, TP is the time taken for the process between the I and the mind to happen. Now, this process, TP, is a logical and a conscious process. You are completely aware of this process. It happens with your awareness, and you will be ready to take complete responsibility for this process. Thereafter, the quantum leap from the mind to the ego is mostly unconscious. Now, that is the time when the actual decisions are being made. So, it means that the decision-making happens without your conscious involvement, without your awareness. Now, let us call this time as TQ. During this time, you decide hastily and illogically. You decide against your own logical thought process, and you make an illogical decision. Look at the danger involved in this whole process. How sad that all our decision-making is happening in this zone. No wonder there is so much of confusion and chaos in our life because of the decisions happening in this unconscious zone. Now, why does this happen? Why do you decide unconsciously and regret it later? The reason is that this unconscious zone is filled with restlessness and negative memories. Remember, we spoke about your ego, where all your past negative memories are stored. There is so much there. All of your past memories, which are called as samskaras in Sanskrit, are stored in this zone as different files, and that decides your decision-making process. In the field of psychology, the word engram is used to denote these stored memories. There are so many of these files stored in this zone without any logical connection between each other. These memories or incidents are stored here together. What happens is that when the incoming information takes a quantum leap to this zone, the heavy data that is stored here causes so much of restlessness in you that the incoming file does not even reach the ego properly for a decision. The stored engrams just start playing on the information received. Are you all with me? Markinli, Nithyananda, Lincoln Sousa, understanding how your mind works, why so many accidents get created by your mind as you play the game of your life. Thank you, Aya. Thank you for the thumbs up. So they just impose themselves and cause havoc in the decision-making process. As a result, the ego makes a hasty decision purely from an instinct level and passes the file back. And it happens as an unconscious process. How many times you have regretted the decisions that you made? But the damage is already done. Then you fall into the guilt. Now you understand why this happens. When it happens, you just don't know why. Why did I do that? You always ask yourself the question. And you regret the decision. Now you know why. So having known why, the but obvious solution to this problem would be to work on all of those engrams, the samskaras that are stored, which are responsible for the unconscious process that happens without our involvement. Now, for example, according to the data that you have collected, you know that smoking is injurious to your health. It is not good for your body and mind, isn't it? As a logical, intelligent being, you know that. But once the mind takes the leap to the ego, the engrams just instruct you to smoke, and you simply decide to smoke. The conscious process says, no, it's not good for my health. But the unconscious process says, no, actually, it does not even say. It just makes the decision and you execute it. It is because of your engrams that you repent what you have done and regret your decisions most of the time. You wonder, why did I behave in that fashion? This is not me. Why did I allow this to happen? How did I even make this decision? Now, this happens because the unconscious mind that is filled with all your samskaras has emotional attachments to your memories. If you only remember the past in a detached way, you learn from it and the resulting intelligence is used to make better decisions in the future. Understand this? It's a very important truth that we need to know. If you remember your past just as some words, as a word document, you will develop the intelligence to make better decisions in the future. But unfortunately, most of your past memories have tagged with them certain emotional attachments, more often than not negative. Now, these are the samskaras and they continue to run and ruin your life. But If there are positive or negative emotional attachments attached to your memory, what happens is that you are not able to see anything objectively. You look at the present through tinted glasses of the past, tinted by the memories of those emotions that you went through when so-called similar incidents happened in the past. You're not able to look at this incident of your life as a fresh and a new moment. The Nithyananda Spurana program is all about going deeply in and cleaning your deep-rooted samskaras that are controlling and playing havoc in your life. You will understand in depth about the various energy layers, the energy bodies that we have, and which samskara or emotion each of them is ruled by. This intellectual understanding, along with the actual cleansing of the samskaras, is the essence of the Nithyananda Spurana program. All right. So are you all ready to dive deep in to cleanse ourselves of these samskaras so that we tap into our true nature, which is the eternal bliss inside us? This program has a complete healing effect at the physical, mental, and spiritual levels. People come and ask me how I heal through meditation. Please understand, I do not heal through my physical body. It is my presence that heals, says Bhagavan. When the sun rises, the lotus blooms by itself. The sun does not go and open the petals of the lotus. Similarly, in the presence of the master, healing happens. Be very clear that healing is not done, healing happens. Bhagavan continues to say, I can heal your body since it is in my presence. In the same way, if you open your mind too, it can be healed. In this program, that's what we do, opening of minds. You are asked to write down about yourself, about your pains, desires, guilts, and pleasures. You will not be showing these to anyone else. It is for you to know clearly what your deep-rooted, your deeply embedded samskaras are. Trust me, this is a very, very powerful process. Unfortunately, for most of us, we never give time to ourselves, to dive deep into ourselves, to understand our life, even though we have lived it. This is the only time where you will actually be diving deep in to understand and look into your pains, your desires, guilts, and pleasures. And remember, this whole program is happening in the presence of the master. It is only if you open up your mind to yourself in his presence that he can heal you. The benefit of this program is paramount. You can't even describe it in words. So it is my sincere request to all of you, please intensely and very sincerely do every exercise that you are supposed to be so that you can get cleansed of all these samskaras. The truth is that the heaviness of those happenings will just dissolve. And even when you remember, you'll actually start laughing at so many of those incidents that were actually weighing you down. Okay. During this program, people ask me why I have them write down all this since they are neither expected to show them to me nor to each other or anybody else. Understand, by writing it all down, you are opening your mind in my presence, says Swamiji. You are opening your mind and hence I can heal your mind. If you open your wombs, the sun can heal it. Similarly, if you can open your mind, the energy will heal all the wombs. Nithyananda Spurana program is opening up your energy layers one by one. Your pains, your pleasures, your guilts, and desires are opened up. And once these open up and get healed, you experience a glimpse of God within you. At the end of the program, you don't even have to search for God. Your mind will be so clear and relaxed that you will realize that God is already within you and is not someone or something separate from you. Are you all ready? Excited to experience the God particle inside us? Okay. Let's begin. Start relating with reality. There are 7 energy layers or 7 energy bodies inside us. We know the physical body that is made up of your flesh, bones, and blood. The outermost layer. Then is the pranic body, the mental body, the etheric body, the causal body, the cosmic body, and the nirvanic body. 7 layers, 7 energy layers. Physical, pranic, mental, etheric, causal, cosmic, and nirvanic. You need to understand 3 things. The first thing is that it is because of these layers that you are not relating with reality as it is. The mystics always say the world is God and God is everything. Whatever you see is God. Everything is God. But we don't experience everything as God. We always see everything as evil. We always think everyone is trying to exploit us, everyone is trying to enter into our territory, everybody is trying to disturb us. So what the mystic says is one thing and what we feel is the exact opposite, totally different. Why do we feel this way? Is it because we are not able, Bhagavan says, it is because we are not able to relate with reality as it is. One more thing, we will be working with so many techniques related to the power of visualization. You will be asked to visualize so many things. Generally, human beings have a very deep disrespect for visualization. We always think, with my imagination, what can I achieve? Bhagavan says, understand your whole life is nothing but your visualization. Your whole life is nothing but your imagination. So it's like you're using one thorn to remove another thorn. If one thorn enters your foot, you take another thorn, sharp object to remove it with the other. Is it not? In the same way, so much of imagination has entered without your knowledge, without your consciousness, and it has become your life. So now let us use our intelligence to remove those unconscious imaginations by using conscious imagination. When you do that, the process will be done powerfully. So whenever meditation instructions are given, just put your total energy into making them happen and do not bother about your opinion about them. After all, the incarnation has devised all of these foolproof, time-tested, effective technologies, right? Which has worked for millions. So it's working for so many, it is definitely going to work for you as well. The person who creates the formula to recreate his experience of the outer world is a scientist. For example, Newton created the law of gravity. He had a certain experience when he saw the apple falling from a tree. So he created a formula to reproduce the same understanding about gravity for humanity when he came up with the gravity theory. Now, a person who creates a formula for others to understand the experiences of the outer world or the outer happenings of the outer world is a scientist. Similarly, a person who creates a formula to reproduce the experiences of the inner world is the master. Understand? A person who creates a formula to reproduce the things of the outer world is a scientist, and a person who creates a formula to reproduce the inner world experiences is a master. We're talking about how Bhagavan got inspired to create this formula, the inspiration for the Nithyananda Spurana. This whole program is a formula created by me to reproduce certain experiences that happened in me a few years back. So we will see what those experiences were and how this formula appeared. First, we will see how this experience happened in me, and second, how this formula will reproduce the same thing in you. Unless we understand these two things clearly, we will not be able to work with the formula. The whole motivation for the Nithyananda Spurana came out of two incidents in my life. The first one happened before enlightenment. This is the sacred land of Varanasi, Kashi, and you can see the Manikarnika Ghat, where all the dead bodies are burnt by the side of the river Ganga. So Bhagavan is telling us about that first experience before enlightenment, which was probably the year 1999. There was an elderly sannyasi, a very old sannyasi who was suffering from cancer. He was in the hospital in the intensive care unit. And I had the responsibility to take care of him. He was a great sannyasi, but not an enlightened person. He was a great tapasvi, a spiritual seeker undertaking severe austerities. Every day, I used to bring him food and take care of his needs and stay in the hospital. One day, the person in the third bed from him was slowly passing away. He was dying. I was just sitting on the bed and watching the whole thing. The doctors were standing around him and they were trying their best to help, but they were not able to do anything. Even though I was not enlightened at that time, I had had my conscious experience of death by that time, which is one of the most wonderful spiritual experiences I had ever had. Because of that, I was able to see what exactly was happening to him. The man who was dying, basically, Swamiji is talking about the death of that person in his presence before Bhagavan's enlightenment. Slowly, he started suffering and struggling. First, he started suffering tremendous pain in the physical body. His face started showing the pain. Next, he became breathless. He started inhaling and exhaling erratically. I was able to see very clearly the pain and agony. The pain was what it would be like if 1,000 scorpions were stinging him at the same time. His whole consciousness was being torn. Just imagine how painful it is for us if we have a small cut on the body. Even if a centimeter or an inch, there is a cut. This person, literally the body was being cut into pieces. That kind of a pain. Literally 1,000 scorpions biting, stinging at him at the same time. Bhagavan says, I was able to see very clearly the pain and the agony. The pain was what it would be if there were 1,000 scorpions stinging him at the same time. His whole consciousness was being torn. If he cut a little finger with a blade, how much pain we experience. Now imagine his 6-foot body was as if it was literally being cut into pieces along its length. Imagine the suffering. I was able to experience the pain, the agony, the feeling which he was undergoing. Of course, slowly, very slowly, he started moving away from the physical body. Even though it is a little difficult to receive the whole thing logically, even if it is a little difficult to understand this intellectually, this is what really happened. Understanding this whole thing is like working with a formula, like say, x into 2 is equal to 4. We've done all this in school, right? When 2x is equal to 4, then x is equal to 4 by 2, which is 2. So to understand the formula, how to solve it, first we assume some value for x. First we assume that x is equal to 2, and then we replace 2 in the place of x. Then we understand 2 into 2 is 4. Once the answer is right, we know that x is equal to 2. Now until the calculation is done, we need to have a little patience. But when I say, let us assume that x is equal to 2, immediately if you start raising the question, no, why not 3, why not 1, why not 4, we will not be able to proceed at all. Even if we understand it as a hypothesis, it is enough. At the end of the calculation, we will be able to understand how this whole thing happens. It is the same as what I'm sharing with you. It may be difficult to understand logically, but just relax and take it as a hypothesis for now. I was able to see and experience the tremendous pain and agony of that being. It was an excruciating pain and deep suffering. The being started moving from the physical body to the pranic layer, which is the second layer body. Pranic layer is our breathing energy. All these 7 bodies are 7 energy layers of our being. When the being started moving towards the pranic layer, again there was deep suffering. Understand, our prana sharira, the breath body, is filled with our desires. Our breathing and our desires are very closely related. If we change our breathing, our desires can be changed. Our desires and breathing are very closely related. So when the energy was moving into the pranic layer, all the desires of the being started coming up. The being started suffering with all the unfulfilled desires. Please be intensely available in the space of listening, because these are all very profound, deep spiritual truths, and it is the Master's compassion that is making it available to all of us. So you should be available in a very respectful space with a lot of sanctity to receive these truths. Now, when the being started moving towards the next level body, all the guilt started rising. Oh, I should have lived in that way, I should have lived in this way, etc. In this fashion, slowly, by the time the being moved layer by layer and finally died, I saw the whole depth. I saw the whole death happening right in front of my eyes. I was able to see the whole process of death very clearly, but I was not able to help in any way because I was not enlightened at that time. I was not able to help. I just witnessed the suffering, but the pain created in me just by seeing the suffering itself was too much. I started feeling the pain similar to what we might experience if we witness a nasty accident on the road. What will happen? Will we be able to eat for the next 2 days? If we see a terrible accident on the road, will we be able to eat soon after that? No. It was the happening right in front of my eyes. I was able to see the whole process of death very clearly, but I was not able to help in any way. I was not able to help. At that time, I was not enlightened. I just witnessed the suffering, but the pain created in me just by seeing the suffering itself was too much. I started feeling the pain. Okay, it's a repetition. I'll continue. It was the same kind of feeling for me. In an accident, we see only one body, but I was able to see all the 7 layers, all the 7 energy bodies. Then imagine the pain that I would have felt. The pain became so deeply engraved in me. It was recorded in my being so deeply, I was not able to eat or sleep for the next 3 to 4 days. Anyhow, after a few days, I left Varanasi and wandered further. I continued with the tapas and after about a year became enlightened. Then, driven by the will of existence, I came down to South India. I stayed there for 1 or 2 years. It was around that time again. I had one more opportunity to see death happening in front of my eyes. Again, I saw the second death in a hospital in an intensive care unit. Bhagavan is describing the death that happened in his presence after enlightenment. This second person did not suffer at all. He simply passed away, moving through one layer after another seamlessly. I was surprised. I asked his relatives if he was a highly spiritual person. They said that he was very far away from it. He probably never even went to a temple all his life, nor did he do anything related remotely to spirituality. I started analyzing, why did the first person suffer and why did the second person not suffer? The death that I saw in Varanasi was so painful, there are no words to describe it fully. But the death that I saw in the second person was so different. I saw that the person neither experienced pain nor did he have any suffering. He was moving beautifully from the first layer to the second layer to the third to the fourth and so on. Like how a ball rolls in snow. Just like that, his being was moving. I was surprised. As I was watching, his being simply moved away and just disappeared. He became enlightened. He was liberated. So this is the second death that Bhagavan is describing. The earlier was before his enlightenment and the second death after enlightenment. The second death, when he inquired, the person was nothing anywhere remotely connected to spirituality. He lived a very normal life, but nevertheless, he had a very seamless, painless death. When I was pondering over these two incidents, suddenly the truth jumped up. The second man left his body in the presence of an enlightened being. And that was the reason why he left the body painlessly. When the first person was dying, as I told you earlier, I was not enlightened. I had only a conscious death experience myself. So my presence did not in any way influence his death. Whereas when the second man left his body, I was there in his presence and the very enlightened energy caused him to leave the body easily. No sooner did this revelation happen than did the means to design a program for human beings to leave the body painlessly and consciously came up. And that is the formula based on which the Nithyananda Spurana program is done today. The ultimate compassion of the avatar to give a very peaceful, graceful exit for human beings is the reason how the Nithyananda Spurana program has happened and is being made available to all of us blessed souls. Goes on to talk about his own death experience. Let me narrate to you my own conscious death experience in Varanasi. Let me describe exactly what happened within me when I had my experience with this technique. I always used to think that I should have an experience of death, that I should face death directly, but somehow that thought never became a priority. Any thought has to become the topmost priority, and only then the corresponding experience can happen. It should not just be in one corner of your mind. If you have it in your lottery list, then it's not going to become a reality. Similarly, usually on our to-do lists, we also have washing, cleaning, paying the rent, phone bill, and finally, if time permits, enlightenment also. If time permits, meditation also. No, enlightenment will not happen if it is this way, says Bhagavan. Only when it becomes a top priority, only when the urge becomes urgent, everything around you will start aligning itself for the experience to happen in you. And this is the case, not just with enlightenment, with anything in life, it is true. Understand, if at all you are complaining that what you wish to happen is not happening, it is only because it has not become the topmost on your priority list and nothing else. Nothing else and no one else can be blamed or should be blamed for it. You will see that the moment it becomes the topmost priority, there will be an energy play that comes into being and it will simply happen. Until then, it will wait for you, that's all. A small story. One man goes to the doctor and says, "Doctor, I tried to commit suicide by taking 1,000 aspirins." The doctor asks, "But what happened?" The master says, "No, after taking 2, I felt better and I stopped." It's like this. Understand, only when the desire is in the absolute top position in the priority list, the experience can be achieved. The death experience was not my top priority, and so somehow it was getting postponed. In my wandering days, I had been to Varanasi, the holy city for Hindus. It has the largest floating population in the world. Per day, nearly 300,000 people enter the city and leave. Further, per day, 300 dead bodies are burnt in the place called Manikarnika Ghat on the banks of the sacred river Ganga. It is traditionally believed that if somebody dies or somebody's body is burnt in that area, they will be liberated. They will have direct enlightenment. It is not just a traditional belief. Even Bhagavan Ramakrishna Paramahamsa confirms it with his own experience. He says, I saw very clearly Mahadeva himself, Shiva himself, going near every burning body, taking the soul, unclutching it from the body-mind and liberating it. So you can't say that it is a mythological belief. It is the solid experience, what we know as a Apta Pramana from Bhagavan Ramakrishna's life, Paramahamsa's life. I had the fortune of going to Manikarnika Ghat, says Swamiji. Traditionally, it is not only believed, but it is true that for the last 2000 years, the fire that is used to light the pyres has never been put off. You can see Manikarnika Ghat picture here by the sacred river Ganga in Kashi. Whether it rains or shines or floods, people never bring fire when they come with the dead body to Manikarnika Ghat. The fire that is here is only used to burn the bodies that follow. And this fire has been burning for the past 2000 years uninterrupted. The fire will already be burning and they will just take it from there and light the dead body. The fire has never gone off. It just continuously burns the bodies as they arrive. Sometimes I would see that 2 to 3 bodies are burnt at the same time. So many bodies keep coming. Especially in the evenings, the bodies will be more in number. From near the place where the person dies, they will start walking, carrying the dead body, chanting mantras like Ram Nam Satya Hai, Ram Nam Satya Hai. It means Rama's name is the ultimate and the eternal truth. By evening, they will reach Manikarnika Ghat. The scene there, the very experience of just being there, I cannot describe to you verbally. Only you have to be there to experience it. To tell you honestly, the fear of death just disappeared from my system. You see so many bodies continuously being burned every day. You feel, I'm also going to go like this one day. All right, that's all. You feel there are so many people giving you company. It's like one more trip that you make, that's all. You don't feel lonely about death at all. In your life, if you see maybe 1 or 2 bodies being burnt, then you will still have the fear of death. But in that place, there will be no ritual done. They will bring the body straight away, dip it in the river Ganga 3 times while chanting Ram Nam Satya Hai, Ram Nam Satya Hai, Ram Nam Satya Hai. By this time, the fire will be ready and the wood will be arranged. They will bring the body straight from the water and burn it. That's all. One strange thing you can see there, none of the relatives will stay there and do any further rituals. The moment they dip the body in the Ganga, they will place the body for burning there and go away. That's all. The people who maintain things there will take care of the rest. They will not know how long it will take for the body that you brought to be burnt completely. There will be a queue and the bodies will be burning continuously. I thought to myself, let me try to sit here and see what goes on. I sat. In just an hour's time, I felt that death is no more a strange incident which happens once in a while only for some relative or friend. Really, for all of us. Once in a way, somebody dies in your circle is all your experience of death itself. You go to Manikarnika Ghat, take off for a day or two, sit there, and when you witness so many dead bodies being brought and burnt, you'll actually lose fear of death. You'll not have that strange respect or whatever you may want to call it. It may not be the word, but yes, you will lose it. It is not a strange incident that happens once in a while. I was watching bodies arriving one after another. It was like, okay, next, that's all. Different sizes, different genders, ages, communities of people arrived to be consumed by the same burning flame. When you continuously see dead bodies being burnt, you actually lose respect for death. Now, you have too much of respect, too many ideas about death, and that is the problem. It is actually nothing but this. The breath that goes inside the body doesn't come out. That's all is death. Nothing much can be done about it. Neither can you rewind it nor fast forward it. As I was watching this scene continuously, initially, the little fear that I had for death also disappeared, and slowly it became interesting to watch. I went near the people who maintain the fire and started helping them. As I was helping them, I was thinking to myself, after all, this body of mine is also going to become like this one day. When you remember that death is going to happen to you, the respect that you carry for your ego will come down. Because whenever you think that something should not leave you, it is just the ego and nothing else. When you know for sure that everything is going to leave you, then the respect for your ego just drops drastically. The respect that I had for my ego dropped at that moment. Then I decided, after all, I'm going to die. Either I should have a conscious death experience now itself and live the rest of my life without the death fear, or really die. That's all. But I decided that I have to see the death happening to me one way or the other, either die or have the death experience. There was a small Shiva temple near around the corner and a small tower above the temple. I went and sat in that tower so that nobody would disturb me. I sat in that tower, and from there, I started seeing the dead bodies being burnt. I still remember the strong click that triggered the whole experience that was to follow, an elderly lady's body being burnt. She had a big belly. The cloth was consumed by the fire, and the fat that was in the belly started melting and flowing. Sorry for describing this so vividly. I could see clearly that because of the fat flowing, the fire was burning with full momentum. That gave a very strong click to me, and I said, God, yes, the same thing is going to happen to this body also. Let it happen. That click opened up a deep fear of death inside me. The fear spread all over the body, but I faced it consciously. I could see very clearly the fear spreading all over the body, and when the fear met my awareness, when it hit my awareness, that became the death experience. I went through a conscious experience of my own death and came out of it. Whenever your fear is suppressed, it stays inside you as a suppressed fear. Whenever it comes out and you are not consciously facing it, it becomes a fear stroke and shakes your whole nervous system and breaks down your nervous system. If it is faced consciously, it becomes a death experience, that's all. Most of the time, we don't face our fears. When it is suppressed, it will remain inside you as a suppressed fear. When it comes out, you face it consciously, it becomes a death experience. If the fear comes and you're not facing it consciously, it becomes a fear stroke. If you just escape from the death fear, when the fear happens, it becomes death. When you face it consciously, it becomes death experience. Death fear, not expressed, plus unconsciousness is suppression. Death fear expressed plus unconsciousness is a nervous breakdown. Death fear expressed plus conscious awareness is the death experience. I have given a very clear equation now. Understand again. Death fear plus unconsciousness is suppression or perversion. Death fear plus unconsciousness means you don't suppress, but you don't face it either. You just get shaken, frightened, have a fear stroke or a nervous breakdown. Death fear plus conscious awareness is a death experience. I was able to see very clearly the fear that arose. When I faced it consciously with awareness, it became my death experience. The body was dead. It was not moving. For 2.5 days, I had no food, no water, no thought, no question, no doubt. The body was there. Only after that experience had passed, I realized that I had been like that for 2.5 days. I could see with closed eyes that the body was dead and there was no movement. Suddenly, after 2.5 days, the click happened again. God, the body is dead, but I still exist. I am there. That clarity, when it clicked, became such an intense ecstasy in me. The fear of death left me once and for all. It was such a deep ecstasy, such joy, such bliss. I slowly opened my eyes and I was able to move the body. The first thing I felt was such a surge of ecstasy and gratitude. I went down to the Ganga, sprinkled a little Ganga water on myself, took the Ganga water in the Kamandalu, the small water pot that I used to carry as wandering monks do, took a little ash from the fire, went straight to Kashi Vishwanatha temple. I went up to the Shivalinga, offered the ash that I had brought, and did the puja. It was done with such inexpressible gratitude. I saw that Vishwanatha was alive there. Understand? Because I died, Vishwanatha became alive. Until the day before that, because I was still alive, Vishwanatha was always an ordinary stone. I had always felt that to touch this stone, 3 lakh people are coming every day from so far away. What foolishness. You see, when you touch the deity yourself, you will tend to lose respect for it. In South India, you can't touch the deities in temples, but in North India, you can touch it yourself and do the offering. Anyhow, I always felt that the Vishwanatha deity was an ordinary stone. I felt that way because I was still alive. When I died, I saw clearly he is alive. Only one can be alive, either him or you. When you see the truth, he will become alive. You will not be alive anymore as you now think to be alive. The fear of death left me once and for all. I can say that this is one of the very strong experiences that transformed me to search for the ultimate experience of enlightenment. So, continuing, Swamiji is talking about life, death, and in-between states. What exactly happens during death? Passing through the 7 energy layers. There is a beautiful website on near-death experiences. An American doctor did this research. He started meeting people who had near-death experiences. Near-death means those who are clinically declared dead and who come back to life after 3 or 4 hours. There are many such cases in our Indian villages. There will always be 4 to 5 such cases. The other day, a doctor was telling me there are so many cases of those who are medically declared dead who come back to life after 4 or 5 hours. In some persons' lives, it happens 3 to 4 times even, and they come back to life. This doctor somehow got interested in the subject and he started going all over the world meeting these type of people. He met about 10,000 people from all over the world and collected their memories and their experiences of how they had their death. Individual results may vary, results not guaranteed. After analyzing all their experiences, he reached a conclusion. He made a statement, a very beautiful statement, that people on the planet Earth, only when they live, they are Christians, Muslims, Hindus, Jews, and Buddhists. When they die, all of them die in the way that it is described by Hinduism. We may be Hindu, Muslim, Jew, or Christian, but when we die, we are a Vedanti. Vedanti is a person who speaks the truth. In the Kathopanishad, the ancient Vedic scripture, there's a clear description of death. This researcher says, in all these 10,000 people's experiences, which he had collected from all over the world, everybody's experience exactly matches with what the Kathopanishad says. So let us see how exactly death happens. First, we move away from the physical body. You may be thinking, I came here to learn about how to live, and he's teaching me all about death. Understand? Unless we understand the mysteries of death, we will not have a clear idea about life. Our concept about death totally changes our concept about life. Our philosophy about death changes when our Our philosophy about life changes when our philosophy about death changes. See, in the East, nobody cares for time. Things will happen at their own pace, taking their own sweet time. Why? Because all the Eastern religions believe that humans have many births. They have eternity in their hands. If not today, tomorrow. That's all. If it is not coming today, tomorrow, otherwise next birth. So relax. All Western religions talk only about one birth. They say that after death, we don't have any rebirth. And that is why Western people are so time conscious. Whatever has to be enjoyed in these 70 to 80 years. Nothing else can be done. We have to finish it. And that is why their lifestyle, everything is organized around time consciousness. The idea of death changes the whole idea of life. So never think that learning about death is a waste of time. It is a basic lesson that everyone has to learn. Are you all with me? As we enter into the deeper understandings on how death happens, can I have an acknowledgement? Yes. Thank you, Sri Nithya. Amrita Ananda. Is that the name? Because I don't see it fully. Yes. Okay. The time now is almost 10 o'clock. I guess to maintain the continuity in the session, I would probably have to hand over to the next Acharya. Let me just check. Okay. So are you all excited to go through the breath process? Please continue to be, thank you for the response. Please continue to be logged in. Our Acharya will be guiding you. From here on, I will have to now conclude, requesting all the participants to please sit straight with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Put your hands together for the Purna mantra. In deep gratitude to Bhagavan for giving us this ultimate gift of Nithyananda Spurana, leading us all through the conscious death experience process, a promise that he has made to all human beings who have attended the Nithyananda Spurana that he is going to be there at the time when we leave the body to liberate us. Let's chant the Purna mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tatsat Sarvam Bhagavat Shri Nithyananda Paramashiva Padukarpanamastu Om Nithyanandam. Thank you.
Nithyanandam, everyone. Nithyanandam. Yes, let's all gather back. Please turn on your cameras. Okay, let us begin with the Sadguru Vandanam. Please sit with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Your hands in the Anjali Mudra. We will chant the Sadguru Vandanam. Om Nithyanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatītam Gaganasadrusham Tattvamasyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatītam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. I welcome you all with my love and respects. So in this session, we're going to learn about this program is known as Nithyananda Spurana program, a 4-day program that used to be conducted by Bhagwan when he was physically available. And today we will be learning all about. Just a minute, please. Today we will be introducing this program to you, the Nithyananda Spurana program, and let us find out what Bhagavan has to share with the humanity, with all of you, with all the Paramashivoham participants today. Let us find out. Please see, this is a very deep subject, a very intense topic. So requesting all of you to be in front of the camera, not to get diverted, because this is going to really uplift your being. It's a very powerful program which used to be conducted by Bhagavan personally when he was available physically in India. And it would just give a jump start to all the new people and very, very effective. Requesting all the participants to be available in front of the camera to receive the powerful truths imparted by Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Yes, thank you all. Yes. So what is Ananda? All of us have heard the name Nithyananda. So what does it actually mean? In Bhagavan's own words, I welcome you all with my love and respect. Let me first introduce the word Nithyananda Spurana to all of you. Nithyananda. Nithya is eternal. Ananda is bliss. Spurana is flowering. Continuously, eternal bliss is flowering within us, happening within us, but we keep stopping it. So what is that Ananda? The energy that never reduces is Ananda. It can never be affected by a certain time or a certain space. It happens irrespective of time. It happens irrespective of time and space. Anything that changes based on time and space is Nanda. Anything that will not change based on time and space is Ananda. Right now, whatever you think of as Ananda is only joy. It is not bliss. And joy changes based on time and space. At a particular time, we are blissful. In a particular space, we are blissful. If we try to reproduce that same time or space, we find that we are not as blissful as before. That is what I mean when I say that the joy that we know is subject to time and space and also inconsistent at that. In each and every one of us, there is an energy continuously flowing which never changes. There is an energy that can never be taken away from us. Of course, again and again, all the masters who appeared on planet Earth say that in every being, Ananda flows. Apart from the master saying, even if we start searching inside, we will understand that if there is no Ananda sustaining us at the bottom line, we won't be able to move even an inch in our lives. Even the inhaling and exhaling is happening because of the underlying bliss. Our life continues because either we experience this bliss or we hope to experience this bliss someday. The hope of bliss is what keeps us alive, even if we are not aware of it. In each and every one of us, there is an energy continuously flowing which never changes. There is an energy that can never be taken away from us. Of course, again and again, all the masters who appeared on planet Earth say that in every being, Ananda is flowing. Apart from the master saying, even if we start searching inside, we will understand that if there is no Ananda sustaining us at the bottom line, we won't be able to move even an inch in our lives. Even the inhaling and exhaling is happening because of the underlying bliss. Our life continues because either we experience this bliss or we hope to experience this bliss someday. The hope of bliss is what keeps us alive, even if we are not aware of it. Only because of this Ananda that even our inhaling and exhaling happens. Either we experience or we have an idea that we will experience. It is a continuous flow of Ananda that makes our life also flow. Otherwise, our life will not flow. That is why still we are alive. That is why still we are breathing. That is why our system is still functioning. This energy that we call Ananda is continuously working within our being. All the masters agree that we are on one point, that we are bliss. When we ask about food, some of them will say to have only vegetarian food. Some will say that we can have non-vegetarian food. Some will say that we should fast unto enlightenment. And some will say there are no food restrictions. Each one will have his own opinion about it. Again, if we ask about marriage, some would say, do not marry, be a celibate. Some will say, you can marry, being a householder is okay. Some will say, you can marry even 5 or 4 times. Marrying 4 or 5 times is a straight way to enlightenment. If we marry 4 or 5 times, we cannot manage our life without enlightenment. And then it becomes a basic need. If we marry once, enlightenment is an option. If we marry more than once, enlightenment is a basic need without which we can't live. Anyhow, jokes apart, each of these masters have got their own idea and their own opinion about every subject. No two masters agree with each other on the same subject. But when it comes to this one concept, Ananda, all of them agree to the statement, we are bliss. Our inherent nature is bliss. There is no being on planet Earth that is not filled with bliss. In every one of us, bliss is flowing. In every being, bliss is continuously happening. As far as this one concept is concerned, there is no master who disagrees. If all the masters are agreeing on this point, it must be a fundamental truth. In the mystery of death lies the answer to life. In USA, 115 years ago, a young lady asked the great sage Vivekananda, what is life? He said, come with me to India, I will teach you. She asked, what will you teach me? He said, I shall teach you how to die. The question is about life, but the answer is about death. It seems strange. What Swami Vivekananda is saying is, if you know the secret of death, the quality of your life will be different. Your very understanding and attitude towards everything will change. Death is not a mere incident. At the end of your life, it is a profound knowing. If you know how to die, you know how to live. Living and leaving are two sides of the same thing. Your life will be totally different once you understand death. The NSP journeys you through your own life, simultaneously revealing the secrets of death. It makes your inner space pure and clean by unloading the baggage of emotions that you usually carry with you. It teaches you to live blissfully and live peacefully. It puts death in the right perspective so that your life becomes more joyful and meaningful. So let me repeat here. The NSP, the Nithyananda Spurana, journeys you through your own life, simultaneously revealing the secrets of death. It makes your inner space pure and clean by unloading the baggage of emotions that you usually carry with you. It teaches you to live blissfully and live peacefully. It puts death in the right perspective so that your life becomes more joyful and meaningful. People who don't believe will never allow these words to enter into them. That is one group. Those who believe never have the courage to experiment. That is a big problem also. People who believe and people who don't believe, both are not going to be helped. Both are going to be in trouble. When we start believing, we don't experiment. I always tell people, the moment we declare that we believe something, we stop experimenting with it. We stop following it. We just hang it on the wall. The moment you hang my picture on the wall, you have made plans to escape experimenting with what I have to say. Worshipping me is a very convenient way of escaping me. So we classify things continuously. The moment we classify, we start thinking that we have understood everything about it and that we know everything about it. That is why I always tell people, only for a maximum of 6 months you live with your husband or wife. That's all. After that, you create an image about him or her, and your spouse in turn creates an image about you. After this is done, you live only with the images. You don't live with the real person. You don't live with the real being. It takes real intelligence to live with a person instead of living with images. The problem is there because continuously we classify things. The moment we classify, we stop relating with the real person. The best way to get the most out of this program is to come with an open mind. When you come in with an empty mind, with no prejudice, you can completely absorb what I am saying in its totality. If you come in with your knowledge, you will be constantly comparing every word of mine with what you know, with what you have heard about from someone else earlier, and you will simply miss what I am trying to tell you. You can absorb me only if there is some space in you to take me in. If you are already full, you cannot take me in. If you want to experience me, if you really want to gain something, for having taken the time out for these few days, just be like an empty cup here. I will then fill you up beautifully. Be totally open and receptive. Be like a child, innocent and curious, like a sponge ready to absorb. That is enough. So not only in this segment, in this session, you will receive the truths, but during every session, whenever you are coming here for the session, continue to be open, continue to be receptive, especially during darshans. Don't get diverted with other things. What to ask, how do I ask, what wounds to ask. Just be open and receptive. Allow his energy to flow through you. He lives in each one's heart. He resides in each one of us, and he knows what is happening within each one of us. He's known as Antaryami. So he can understand you without you having to say a word. Just be there when you are receiving energy from Swamiji during the darshans. Just be completely open and receptive, like a child. Be completely innocent. So then he will fill you up beautifully. He knows what is best for you, and he will do the necessary things for you. So always remember, whenever you come, whenever you are attending sessions, whether it is an Acharya who's conducting the session or whether you are sitting in front of Swamiji, whether you're listening to a discourse, just be like a sponge, ready to absorb. It is just Swamiji's energy that is completely flowing. It is Swamiji's energy that conducts this whole program. So just be receptive, be open, be receptive, and be like a child, innocent and curious. So why are we not able to relate directly? Why are we not able to listen with an open mind? For this, we need to understand the science behind the working of the mind. So here we're looking at a diagram which shows how the mind works. Okay, it is self-explanatory. Let me read it out for you. How does the mind work? The diagram shows how the information that enters through the eye. Okay, the information that enters through the eye is how is it processed? Actually, not just the information through the eye, but information through all the 5 senses. That is through the nose, the ears, tongue, touch, and your eye. As an example, now we are taking the eye, how the information is processed through the eye. So there is something called ESP. When you see something first, the eyes see it. There is something called chakshu in Sanskrit, which digitizes the information seen by the eye. It is something like a digital signal processor. Okay. So whatever is seen by the eye, there is something called chakshu. Okay. The chakshu, it is called chakshu in Sanskrit, which digitizes the information seen by the eye. It is something like a digital signal processor. The signal or the input is converted into a digital file by this chakshu. As I said earlier, this conversion happens to the information received through all 5 senses, not just the eye. And then the file goes to the memory, chitta. In the memory, a little work is done on the file. It analyzes the file received through the process of elimination as the first step to identify what has been received. For example, if you are seeing me now, the file is processed through the chakshu and taken to the chitta, the memory. Okay, the file is processed through the chakshu and taken to the chitta, that is memory. The memory starts analyzing it. It starts saying, this is not an animal, this is not a plant, this is not a rock. It does the process of elimination. And it is really quick. It doesn't take much time. This process is really, really quick. Then the file goes to the mind or manas. The mind does the job of identification. It concludes, this is a human being who's teaching a class. The mind concludes, this is it. Next, the whole file takes a quantum leap to the ego, and your ego decides to act based on your past experiences. If you have stored past experiences with similar classes, say yoga or meditation, and they have been all right for you, you will decide to sit here, or else you will think it is better to move on. Now let us go through the process again. The first step is you seeing me. The eye passes the information to the chakshu. The chakshu converts it to a digital signal. The memory then does the elimination work on the file. This is not, this is not. Then the mind does the identification of the file. This is it. Then the whole file takes a quantum jump to the ego. In this zone of stored memories, you decide whether to sit here or leave. How the mind works. Here, Swamiji is giving us a beautiful example to understand the process of elimination versus that of identification. Let us say that you want to find the word home in the dictionary. You start from the letter A and you eliminate not A, not B, not C, until you come to the letter H. Until you come to the letter H, it is only an elimination process. Once you come to H, it is an identification process. You start identifying ho, then hom, and then you come to home. Even in the identification process, there is elimination, but that cannot be considered as elimination because your whole attitude is different during this time. Until you come to H, you don't even look at anything. You only eliminate. Once you come to H, H becomes a standpoint, and then you start looking for HO, HOM, etc. There is a difference in your attitude in the identification process when compared to your attitude during the elimination process. Please understand, it is a very deep subject, so please provide your listening. There is a difference in your attitude in the identification process when compared to your attitude during the elimination process. It is like this. You have thousands of files stored in your mind. Now let us say that you are seeing me. You will first start eliminating, this is not a stone, this is not a tree, this is not an animal. And then you come to man and say, this is a man. Once you arrive at man, you start identifying me 6 feet tall, saffron clothed, talking about meditation, my master, Nithyananda. So you are eliminating until you find the right classification. That is the first step. Going in depth into that classification to identify what is seen is the next step. Elimination is breadth, identification is depth. The elimination process is like handling many files. The identification process is like going deeply into a specific file. Now, let us call the time for the process between the I and the mind, TP. TP is the time taken for the process between the I and the mind to happen. This process is a logical and conscious one. You are completely aware of this process. It happens with your awareness, and you will be ready to take complete responsibility for this process. The quantum leap from the mind to the ego is mostly unconscious. That is the time when the actual decisions are made. So it means that the decision making happens without your awareness. Let us call this time TQ. During this time, you decide hastily and illogically. You decide against your logical thought process. You make an illogical decision. Why does this happen? Why do you decide unconsciously and regret it later? The reason is that this unconscious zone is filled with restlessness and negative memories. All your past memories, which we call samskaras in Sanskrit, are stored in this zone as different files. In the field of psychology, the word engrams is used to denote these stored memories. There are so many of these files stored in the zone. Without any logical connection between each other, these memories or incidents are stored together. What happens is that when the incoming information takes a quantum leap to this zone, the heavy data stored here causes so much restlessness in you that the incoming file does not even reach the ego properly for a decision. The stored engrams just start playing on the information received. They just impose themselves and cause havoc in the decision-making process. As a result, the ego makes a hasty decision purely from an instinct level and passes the file back. It happens as an unconscious process. For example, according to the data that you have collected, you know that smoking is injurious to your health. It is not good for your body or mind. But once the mind takes a leap to the ego, the engrams just instruct you to smoke, and you simply decide to smoke. So if you have any questions, you can mention here in the chat. I hope you're all following what is being shared here. If I'm too fast, you can let me know and you can slow down. Hope you're all following what is being shared here. You're able to understand, grasp the truths. If yes, please give a thumbs up if you're able to follow whatever has been shared here. Okay, we will understand that. In the upcoming segment, we will understand the difference between mind and ego. Okay, it's coming up. It's covered in the syllabus. The conscious process says, no, it is not good for my health. But the unconscious process says, actually, it doesn't even say, it just makes a decision and you execute it. It is because of your engrams that you repent what you have done and regret your decisions most of the time. You wonder, why did I behave in that fashion? This is not me. How did I allow this to happen? How did I make that decision? This happens because the unconscious mind that is filled with all your samskaras has emotional attachments to your memories. If you only remember the past in a detached way, you learn from it and the resulting intelligence is used to make better decisions in the future. But if there are positive or negative emotional attachments associated with your memory, what happens? You are not able to see anything objectively. You look at the present through tinted glasses of the past, tinted by the memories of the emotions that you went through when so-called similar incidents happened in the past. You are not able to look at this incident as a fresh and new moment of your life. The Nithyananda Spurana is all about going deeply in and cleansing your deep-rooted samskaras that are controlling and playing havoc in your life. We will understand in depth about the various layers of energy bodies that we have and which emotion or samskara each of them is ruled by. This intellectual understanding, along with the actual cleansing of the samskaras, is the whole essence of NSP. The Nithyananda Spurana program is all about understanding about the deep-rooted samskaras and the actual cleansing. And also, we will understand in depth about the various layers of energy bodies in this segment. This program has a complete healing effect at the physical, mental, and spiritual levels. People come and ask me how I heal through meditation. Please understand, I do not heal through my physical body. It is my presence that heals. When the sun rises, the lotus blooms by itself. The sun does not go and open the petals of the lotus. Similarly, in the presence of the master, healing happens. Be very clear that healing is not done, it happens. I can heal your body since it is in my presence. In the same way, if you open your mind too, it can be healed. In this program, that's what we do. Opening of minds. You are asked to write down about yourself, about your pains, desires, guilt, and pleasures. You will not be showing these to anyone else. It is for you to know clearly what your deeply embedded samskaras are. During this program, people ask me why I have them write down all this, since they are neither expected to show them to me nor to each other. Understand? By writing it all down, you are opening your mind in my presence. Just a minute. The healing effect of this program. You are opening your mind, and hence I can heal your mind. If you open your wounds, the sun can heal it. Similarly, if you can open your mind, the energy will heal all the wounds. So the Nithyananda Spurana program is opening up your energy layers one by one. Your pains, pleasures, guilt, and desires are opened up. Once these open up and get healed, you experience a glimpse of God within you. At the end of the program, you don't even have to search for God. Your mind will be so clear and relaxed that you will realize that God is already within you and is not something separate from you. So this has been experienced by millions of his devotees across the globe. Whoever has attended his programs, not just the Nithyananda Spurana program, even a basic program like the first level, like be it a one-day program or a half-a-day workshop. When Swamiji conducts a program and he initiates them, he gives them the initiation, the third eye awakening happens. Everybody, each and every one, undergoes major changes in their lives. All they have to do is become aware of the changes that are happening around them. The obstacles just melt away. They're not there. They just disappear miraculously. And all the impossibilities they're stuck with just dies down. And they are so empowered. Okay, so it is going to be a similar experience for all of you who are attending this program on two way as well as on one way. So you don't even have to search for God after this program. Your mind will be so clear and relaxed that you will realize that God is already within you. You will feel that energy that's sitting inside you, Swamiji's presence, always sitting within you and guiding you beautifully. Okay, so now let us start relating with reality. So here we'll be looking at the 7 energy layers, which we just mentioned. The 7 energy layers or bodies in us. This may not be physically visible to your eyes, but you have these 7 energy layers which you can experience. Once you start meditating, you start following the meditation techniques which will be given, you will start experiencing these bodies. What happens when you move from one layer to the other layer? So first thing you need to understand is, it is because of these layers that you are not relating with reality as it is. The mystics always say, the world is God, God is everything. Whatever you see is God, everything is God. But we don't experience everything as God. We always see everything as evil. We always think everyone is trying to exploit us. Everyone is trying to enter into our territory. Everyone is trying to disturb us. So what the mystics say is one thing, and what we feel is a totally different thing. Why do we feel this way? It is because we are not able to relate with reality as it is. One more thing, we will be working with so many techniques related to visualization. You will be asked to visualize so many things. Generally, we have a very deep disrespect for visualization. We always think, oh, with my imagination, what can I achieve? Understand? Your whole life is nothing but your visualization. Your whole life is nothing but your imagination. So it is like using one thorn to remove another thorn. If one thorn enters your foot, you take another thorn and remove it with the other thorn. Is it not? In the same way, so much of imagination has entered without your knowledge, without your consciousness. To remove them, conscious imagination is going to be put into you and the process will be done. So whenever meditation instructions are given, just put your total energy into making them happen. Do not bother about your opinion of them. The person who creates a formula to recreate his experience of the outer world is a scientist. For example, Newton created the law of gravity. He had a certain experience. When he saw the apple falling from the tree, he had a certain experience. So he created a formula to reproduce the same understanding about gravity for others. A person who creates a formula for others to understand the experiences of the outer world or the things of the outer world is a scientist. A person who creates a formula to reproduce the experiences of the inner world is a master. Understand, a person who creates a formula to reproduce the things of the outer world is a scientist. A person who creates a formula to reproduce the inner world experience is a master. This whole program is a formula created by the master to reproduce the same experience that happened in him a few years ago. And in this program, we will also see what those experiences were and how this formula appeared. So first, we will see how this experience happened in Swamiji, and second, how this formula will reproduce the same thing in you. Unless we understand these two things clearly, we will not be able to work with the formula. Okay. So the whole motivation for the Nithyananda Spurana program came out of two incidents in Swamiji's life. The first one, which happened before enlightenment. Okay. So he experienced death in his presence before enlightenment. Before Swamiji was achieved enlightenment, he experienced a death that happened in front of his eyes. So it was probably in the year 1999. It was in Varanasi. There was an elderly sannyasi, a very old sannyasi, suffering from cancer. He was in the hospital in the intensive care unit. And Swamiji had the responsibility to take care of him. He was a great sannyasi, but not an enlightened person. He was a great tapasvi, a spiritual seeker, undertaking severe austerities. Every day, Swamiji would bring him food and take care of his needs and stay in the hospital with the sannyasi. So one day, the person in the third bed from him was slowly passing away. He was dying. He saw that this person was dying. And Swamiji was sitting on the bed and watching the whole thing. The doctors were standing around him. They were trying to help. They were trying their best to help him, but they were not able to do anything. Now, even though Swamiji was not enlightened at that time, he had his conscious experience of death by that time. One of the most wonderful spiritual experiences that he had ever had. And because of that, he was able to see what exactly was happening to him. Slowly, he started suffering and struggling. First, he started suffering tremendous pain in the physical body. His face started showing the pain. Next, he became breathless. He started inhaling and exhaling erratically. And Swamiji was able to see very clearly the pain and the agony. The pain was what it would be like if 1,000 scorpions were stinging him at the same time. His whole consciousness was being torn. Just imagine. If we cut our little finger with a blade, how much pain would we experience? Now imagine his 6-foot body was as if it was literally being cut into pieces along its length. You can imagine the suffering. So Swamiji here is explaining in his own words, I was able to experience the pain, the agony, the feeling which he was undergoing. Of course, slowly, very slowly, he started moving away from the physical body. Even though it is a little difficult to receive this whole thing logically, even if it is a little difficult to understand this intellectually, this is what really happened. Understanding this whole thing is like working with a formula like x into 2 equals 4. To understand the formula, to understand how to solve it, first, we assume some value for x. We assume that x equals 2, then we replace 2 in the place of x. Then we understand 2 into 2 is 4. Once the answer is right, we know x is 2. Until the calculation is done, we have to have a little patience. But when I say let us assume x is equal to 2, immediately if we start raising the question, no, why not 3? Why not 1? Why not 4? Will we be able to proceed at all? Even if we understand it as a hypothesis, it is enough. At the end of the calculation, we will be able to understand how this whole thing happens. It is the same as what I am sharing with you. It may be difficult to understand logically, but just relax and take it as a hypothesis for now. I will able to see and experience the tremendous pain and agony of that being. It was an excruciating pain and deep suffering. The being started moving from the physical body to the pranic layer, which is the second layer body. The pranic layer is our breathing energy. All these 7 bodies are 7 energies, energy layers of our being. When the being started moving towards the pranic layer, again, there was a deep suffering. Our prana sharira, breath body, is filled with all our desires. Our breathing and our desires are very closely related. If we change our breathing, our desires can be changed. Our desires and breathing are very closely related. So when the energy was moving into the pranic layer, all the desires of the being started coming up. The being started suffering with all the unfulfilled desires. So we're continuing to see the death experience that Swamiji witnessed before his enlightenment. So a very important part here. When the being started moving towards the next level body, all the guilt started rising. Oh, I should have lived in that way. I should have lived in this way, etc. In this fashion, slowly the being moved layer by layer and finally died. And I saw the whole death. In just a minute, please. Okay. So Swamiji is explaining here about the death that happened right in front of his eyes. He saw the whole death happening right in front of his eyes, and he was able to see the whole process of death very clearly, but was not able to help in any way. At that point of time, he was not enlightened, and he was not able to help. He had to just witness the whole suffering. The pain created in him just by seeing the suffering itself was too much. So he started feeling the pain similar to what we might experience if we witness a nasty accident on the road. What will happen? Will we be able to eat for the next 2 days? If we see a terrible accident on the road, will we be able to eat soon after that? No. It was happening right in front of my eyes. I was able to see the whole process of death very clearly, but I was not able to help in any way. I was not enlightened at that time. I was not able to help. I just witnessed the suffering, but the pain created in me just by seeing the suffering itself was too much. I started feeling the pain similar to what we might experience if we witnessed a nasty accident on the road. Now, the pain became so deeply engraved in me, it was recorded in my being so deeply, I was not able to eat or sleep for the next few days. After a few days, I left to Varanasi and wandered further. I continued with the tapas, and after about a year, became enlightened. Then, driven by the will of existence, I came down to South India. I stayed there for 1 or 2 years. It was around that time, again, I had another opportunity to see death happening in front of my eyes. Again, I saw the second death in a hospital and in an intensive care unit. The second person did not suffer at all. He simply passed away, moving through one layer after another seamlessly. I was surprised. I asked his relatives if he was a highly spiritual person. Okay, please hold on. Sri Nithya Amritapananda. Okay. Just give me a minute, please. So we are looking at what we are learning all about the death experience, how Swamiji witnessed death when he was enlightened and when he was not enlightened, the difference. So how when the first death happened, it was he saw the suffering that the person went through, and after he got enlightened, just by Swamiji's presence, the person was able to move from one layer to the other layer effortlessly, painlessly, and he was even liberated just by an enlightened being in the presence of the person who was dying. Now here his experience, Swamiji further explains how the death happens. So first, the life and death and in between states. Okay, what exactly happens during death? We will be learning now. We'll be looking at it. First, a person moves from the physical layer, that is the body, which we are having, to the pranic layer, which involves inhaling and exhaling. That is the energy or the air movement, the prana movement inside our system. Prana refers to the life force that is brought in by the air into our system when we breathe. It is the life sustaining energy needed for us. Air is just a medium to bring prana in. Prana is what is needed to sustain life. When we move from the first layer to the second layer, all our desires, our unfulfilled desires, all the ways in which we wanted to live but did not live, all those things usually come up. When this happens, it is almost as if in a room, 10 people are standing, kicking a football around. What will happen? Just like how the football is kicked from corner to corner, our consciousness will be kicked from all corners. In each corner, some desire will be standing and kicking it. At the time our consciousness is trying to leave the body, all our desires will be forcing us to enter back into the body so that we can fulfill and enjoy them further. Okay, so on one side, our desires will be forcing us to enter into the body again so that we can live and enjoy. While on the other side, the body will say, no, I'm tired. I can't host you anymore. Just leave. On one side, the body will say, I'm tired, I can't host you. And on the other side, the pranic layer that houses our desires forces us to live inside the body. This is what this is what causes the pulling and pushing at the time of death. Pulling and pushing is nothing but the fight between our desires and the body. Somehow, if we manage to move away from the pranic layer, we enter into the mental body. When we enter into our mental body, all our guilt rises. All the guilt that we had about the way we felt we should have lived our lives, but never lived, all the mistakes that we committed, of our regrets, etc. Now understand, desire is about the future and guilt is about the past. But actually, both are one and the same. So when it is about the past, it is guilt, and when it is about the future, it is desire. The way in which we want to live is desire, and the way in which we wanted to live but did not is guilt. I always tell people guilt is nothing but reviewing our past decisions with updated intelligence. Our intelligence is continuously being updated. The problem is that with this updated intelligence, we try to review our past decisions. For example, as a 7-year-old, your mother comes and calls you to eat your food. She says, you have played enough with your toys, put them away and eat, come and eat. So what do you say? You say, I don't want to eat and I just want to play. Then if your mother comes and tries to snatch the toys, what do? You not only cry, but you even curse her. But after all these years, now you know that the toys are not so important as your mother is to you, isn't it? So now your intelligence is totally different. At that tender age, your toys were important, that you even cursed your mother. But now, with updated intelligence, you know that your mother is more important. And is it good to create guilt? So you may regret, oh, at that time I cursed my mother, I feel so ashamed. No, at that time we only had limited intelligence and our decisions were made with that available intelligence. Now, if we start reviewing our past decisions with updated intelligence, we will always create guilt. All our guilt is nothing but trying to review past decisions with updated intelligence. All the guilt that we collect over our lives rises as we pass through the mental body. Then, if we move away a little deeper, we come to the etheric layer that is related to all our suffering. All the suffering that we went through during our life is stored here. Like this, each and every layer has got its own samskara or stored memories. Traveling through these layers is what we can think of as hell. There is no other separate place called hell. Hell and heaven are not geographical locations. They are psychological spaces. Understand, hell and heaven are not, they don't exist geographically. They only exist in your mind. It is only a psychological space. So one more thing, when we enter into the dream layer and start dreaming, we have seen that the whole world in which you live in now becomes black and white because we are in the dream world. We forget this whole world and the dream world becomes multicolor. If we come out of the dream, this whole world is again seen in 4 dimensions like 4D. Now, when we are in this physical layer, the whole world is seen as 4D. We experience this world as 4D in multicolor. When we are in the dream world, we experience that world as 4D. So when we are here, the dream world becomes black and white, and this world becomes 4D. And when we are there, the dream becomes 4D, and the world becomes black and white. Similarly, when we move away from the physical layer to the pranic layer at the time of death, the whole world will become black and white. All your achievements, your pride, your efforts, your sorrow, your happiness, everything will appear in black and white. You will wonder, why did I do all this work? Why did I think of all this as a base for my life? So let me explain why this happens. When we are alive, we invest in our personality. We build up our personality based upon a few pillars. There are a few pillars or foundations on which we build our personality. Those pillars are money, name and fame, relationships, pride that we have, a big community, support circle, etc. If somebody asks you, who are you? What will you say? I am an engineer, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer. Or will you say, I'm the owner of 4 houses? Or I'm such and such a person's husband or wife? Or I'm her husband or somebody's son or somebody's daughter or somebody's wife? Our personality is built on these few foundations. When we move from the physical body, all these foundations will be completely shaken. We cannot sign our name on our checks anymore. Our signature is not accepted. Our bank balance is no more related to us. We cannot handle our bank account. Our car will not be useful to us. At the most, only the ambulance will be useful. Our house will be filled with all our relatives. They will be weeping to see us dead. But neither our house nor our relatives will be useful to us. We cannot even relate with our relatives. We cannot talk to any of them. If we try to, they will run away. Your wife will come up to the last point in the procession and weep. Your son will come through till the end and do the last rites and rituals. But who will come after that? Nobody. Nobody can come. Only the conscious glimpse can come with you. In this way, whatever is the foundation for your being, the whole foundation will be shaken. When the foundation is shaken, naturally you don't have anything to hold on to. Understand this one thing. If we suddenly hear of some loss in our business, we feel that our whole body is suffering. The suffering will not just be in one portion. The whole body will be suffering. It will be almost like our being is crushed. Now we can see in our life, if we just sit in our office and worry about something, we don't have to do any work. If we just sit and worry alone, we will have shoulder pain. And if we just continue to worry for 10 minutes, then what will happen? We'll continue to have the shoulder pain. So understand that when something moves away from us, our whole body suffers. When we move away from the physical body, the same suffering starts happening in us. Whatever we thought was the foundation for our life is shaken. As of now, the whole world will appear in 4D. All this talk about spirituality, meditation, growing the inner being, consciousness, etc. will appear as black and white. That is why when I call people for meditation, they tell me, I don't have time to meditate. Let me finish all my work and then come. I have a few more years. Never say, I don't have time to meditate. Be very clear to yourself and say, I don't feel that it is that important in my life right now. If we are ready to say, I don't think meditation is so important in my life, then we are honest. But if we say, I don't have time, then we are just fooling ourselves. So all of us have the same 24 hours on hand. It is not that the few who are meditating are jobless. So all of us have got the same 24 hours on hand to do what we feel we should be doing. But it is not just a few who are meditating are jobless. It is just a question of priority of what we want in our life. If spirituality and meditation appear as black and white to us now, we will not divert our energy in that area. But what happens is that when we move away from the physical body at the time of death, whatever we thought of as 4D, when we were living, will totally disappear. Everything will be totally shaken and appear as black and white. At that time, they will not have any basis at all. So in them, we will not be able to find any space where we can rest. That is the reason why death is always a suffering. At that moment, if we can have a conscious glimpse or glimpse of consciousness from our past, then we can consciously enter into death. Now, if we understand this concept completely, we will not develop attachment to whatever we think of as 4D. We may enjoy them, but our personality will not be built on them. We will become intelligent, and when we are living, we will create at least one part of the foundation or one pillar in the other dimension. That is spirituality. You see, now we are in two dimensions, the material world and spirituality. So right now what is happening is that however many pillars we build our personalities and life upon, all those pillars are based on the material world, which happens to be 4D. Not a single pillar is based on consciousness or our inner space. Our whole personality is built only based on the outer space, which is the name, fame, what society speaks about us, etc. Our complete personality is structured only on what society speaks about us. If everyone's opinion of us is that we are great, what do we think? We think we are great. If everybody says you are useless, what happens? We start getting depressed. This happens because not even a single pillar of our building is based on spirituality. Our inner core, our being, the entire thing is based on the outer space. That is the reason that when those pillars are shaken by anybody, we start suffering terribly. If we have even one pillar from consciousness, we can depend on that to stand straight without suffering. One more thing. These outer world pillars are not in our control at all. Anyone passing by can easily shake them. Even if a small child comes up to us and says that we are a fool, we will get a little shaken, isn't it? The child might have even said it only to try a few new words that he is learning, but it shakes you. So understand that these outer world pillars are that weak. The Bhagavad Gita says, what comes and stands in our mind at the time of leaving the body will alone decide about our next birth or enlightenment. If we have at least one pillar on consciousness, naturally we will not have suffering when we leave the body. All the other pillars will become black and white, but even if the other pillars become black and white, this one pillar will be there in multicolor, 4D. This one pillar will be there to take us through the process. As of now, we have no pillar to take us through. That is the problem. Our whole personality is based on the outer space as of now. All our pillars are made up of what we think is 4D now. There is no inner space for us either. That is why, like a football, people can kick us from corner to corner in the outer space. Anybody can just throw one word towards us to make us depressed. If somebody says we are mad, we should shout at them and prove that we are mad. A single word is enough to make us mad. Nothing much is necessary. We are almost like the street dogs. If we just throw one stone at it, it gets mad. Similarly, if anybody throws one word at us, it is enough to make us mad or depressed. This happens only because we don't have strength in the inner space. Please understand that if we build at least one pillar based on our inner space, this pillar will shine in 4D at the time of death and help us to leave the body beautifully. Vivekananda beautifully says, even if we have one single thoughtless awareness experience in our life, that is a single conscious experience in our life, that is enough. At the time of leaving the body, it will come up and we will leave our body peacefully. We will have just awareness without thoughts. So please understand, all of you attending this program, you will have that experience in this program, and only the master can give you that experience. It cannot happen on your own. You will not be able to make it, because Swami always says man has to be given. So you will have this experience. That's the good news. And with this single conscious experience in your life, you will have a beautiful, a smooth. See, whenever you're leaving the body, this conscious glimpse you will have, and you will be able to leave the body effortlessly, painlessly, and very blissfully. Yes. So the exit will be really graceful with this experience. So that is all about the Nithyananda Spurana program. You will all have this experience, the single conscious glimpse in your lives. So be attentive, attend the program sincerely, and you need to attend the whole day program to experience this, to have this experience. The idea I exists in all of us when we are awake. Now we are looking at the 4 states of consciousness. Okay. So what are the 4 states of consciousness we will be learning in this segment? The idea I exists in all of us when we are awake in deep sleep. Is it there? No. In the same way, almost every one of us has thoughts when we are awake. In deep sleep, do we have thoughts? No, there are 2 states of mind and 2 states of being. These 2 crisscross each other and create 4 states of being in which we exist and live our lives. Okay. So the 4 states of consciousness, there are 2 states of mind and 2 states of being. When these 2 crisscross each other, it creates 4 states of being in which all of us exist and live our lives. The first state is to be with I and with thoughts. This is what we experience as our waking state. In Sanskrit, we call it the Jagrat state. Jagrat Avastha, the waking state. So here is a diagram with the various states of consciousness, which is self-explanatory. So with thoughts and without thoughts. So with I consciousness, we experience this Jagrat or wakeful state or thinking. Without thoughts, it is the Turiya, the blissful state, which is a state which is full of awareness, which is full awareness. Then the next is without the I consciousness. The next state is without I consciousness, which is the dream state, the Swapna. And this is with thoughts, okay? With thoughts, without eye consciousness, it is swapna. But without thoughts and without eye consciousness, it is the sushupti or unconscious state, which is the deep sleep state. So in the next state, there will be thoughts, but there will not be the sense of I that we experience in the waking state. That is what we call the dream state. You may ask, how is it that in the dream state we don't have the sense of I? Let me explain. In the waking state, if you choose, you can control your thoughts. You can suppress them, alter them, and recreate them in a different way. You can do whatever you want with them because the frequency of I is higher than the frequency of thoughts. I is more powerful here. But in the dream state, the frequency of your thoughts is more than the frequency of the I consciousness. That is why you are not able to control your dreams as you wish to. So are you able to control your dreams and dream the way you want to? The answer is no. Wherever the dreams take you, you have to go, that's all. In the dream state, the frequency of thoughts is greater. That is why they just flow. You can't do anything about it. If at all we have the opportunity to dream what we want to, we know what type of dreams we will be having. So understand the dream state is when you don't have I, but you do have thoughts. In the next state, the third state, neither you have I nor you have the thoughts. This is the deep sleep state or sound sleep state. There is a fourth state that we never experience. In that state, one will have the I consciousness, but not have any thoughts. This is what we call turiya or meditation or samadhi or atma jnana, nirvana. The self-realization experience, whatever you want to call it. This is what we call samadhi. This is the state where you have the I consciousness, but no thoughts. This is what I mean when I say thoughtless awareness or consciousness. Even one glimpse of this state is enough. Even one experience of this state is enough. Then when you leave your body, you will have your rest there. So as of now, this turiya state or samadhi state or consciousness, all these things will look like black and white to us. We will not give that much importance to all these things. We will think this is for philosophers or for old people who are ready to die of old age. It will be very difficult to surrender to even the idea of this turiya state. It will be difficult to work for this consciousness because it appears only as black and white to us, or little value or no value to us. You must be now thinking, who knows what the truth is? He must be telling something to do his business. I always tell people that it is not so easy to understand all these things. It is not so easy to surrender to these ideas as of now. The moment you hear the words consciousness or surrender or samadhi or meditation, immediately what do you think? All this is very difficult for me. Not only that, you always have the fear. You may now tell me to surrender, but tomorrow you may take away my property, or you may take away my husband or my wife away from me. So you may take away my kids also, or I myself may get inspired and go behind you. There are so many problems. There are so many problems that you see when you hear all of this. So it is very difficult to trust somebody. It is very difficult to enter into this fourth state or even come close to it. It seems difficult because all these things appear in two colors now, black and white. But when you leave the body, then it will appear as four colors. And whatever you thought of as a four color now will become completely two colors, black and white. Okay. So now we will look at how the second death happened so peacefully. Again, the statement which I'm going to make now is a little difficult to understand, but there is no other way. The truth has to be explained as it is. It has to be expressed the way it is. Only then you will be able to enter into the formula. This is the way the formula happened to the person who died peacefully in the second death that Swamiji witnessed in the ICU. So everything in this world becomes insignificant during death. When the second death was happening, the moment the person left the first layer, because an enlightened being was there, because of Swamiji's presence, somehow he was able to catch a glimpse of that consciousness. He was able to catch my presence. During the first death that I witnessed, I was not enlightened. I was only doing my tapas. I was wandering all over India and doing tapas, but during the second death, I was enlightened. And somehow, because of that, he was able to catch a glimpse of the consciousness. The moment he left the first layer, he was able to feel me or experience me. The moment he started experiencing me, his whole consciousness simply became centered on me. See, it is so important to attend this program because once you do this NSP program, Swamiji says, whenever you leave the body, he will appear and he will liberate you. So you can enrich and bring in your friends, your relatives, your near and dear ones, and help them achieve that state. Okay, so you can help so many people, so many lives to be liberated by Swamiji just by making them becoming a part of this program. By attending this program, so many lives can get liberated. Okay, let's continue. Usually, what are the things that stop you from surrendering to the master? The list is the same for everyone. Your bank balance, your house, your car, your relationships, your wife, your insecurity about your life, etc. You may think, if I surrender to him, what will happen to my life? I may start becoming a servant to him. There are so many other things that I still have to do. All these thoughts are stopping you from surrendering or entering into the consciousness. Surrendering and entering into the consciousness, both are one and the same. But for that person who was at the stage where death had started happening, all these things became valueless. They had no significance for him anymore. As I told you earlier, when you leave the first level, the body itself, all these things become valueless to you. So whatever strings were pulling him down were already cut or disconnected. None of the usual attachments of yours was binding him. As long as you think that the outer world is worthy, that it has got value, and you fear that somebody may take it away, you are caught. You fear that somebody may snatch it from you, and you can't surrender to the experience of consciousness. As long as you think that whatever you collected in your life is valuable, you will have tremendous fear of losing it. That is why I tell people, as long as you think these things are valuable, you will never be able to experience fearlessness. There will be a continuous fear. The more you have the attachment to those things, the greater the fear. Continuously, your being will be shaken. Every moment you will be waiting with fear as to what might happen next and what you may lose. But for that dying man at that moment, whatever can be taken away from him has already been taken away. Now there is nothing for him to lose. Trusting the master is very easy at that moment. Somehow, fortunately for him, he had my presence there. He could simply see the whole thing. The moment the physical layer, the things were taken away from him, he understood that all other things are valueless and of no significance. And that very moment, his whole consciousness, without any doubt or difficulty, caught on to me. It became centered on me. Naturally, when he was centered on an enlightened being or a conscious being, he simply dissolved into enlightenment without any suffering. So here we can see Swamiji offering his respects to his deceased father when his father passed away, and when the body was being burnt in the crematorium, Swamiji is offering his respects to his father after doing all the last rites. It's a beautiful picture. Now, whatever is stopping you now will not stop you at that time. Understand, at that time, you don't have to practice renunciation consciously. Everything will simply be taken away from you by force. That is the nature of death. Only as long as you have a choice, you have to practice commitment, renunciation, charity, righteousness, and whatnot. At the time of death, you don't have to practice anything. Everything will simply be taken away from you without your permission or control. Then what is there to practice? What is there to renounce? You will not have anything even to renounce. In those moments, there's nothing that can stop you from entering into the enlightenment experience. There's nothing that can stop you from entering into the conscious experience. But there is only one thing you need when you leave the body. You need a conscious being around you. Without that, it is not possible. So what am I supposed to do? I can't go and stand in all the ICUs in the world and ask people when they are planning to die how I can help so many people at the time of death without physically being there with them. So I thought about it seriously, and the formula to achieve this revealed itself. From my own experience, I tell you that leaving the body peacefully is the greatest gift anybody can have. If you have that gift, you have achieved whatever needs to be achieved. You have lived your life. Nothing else is needed to achieve. There is nothing else that needs to be achieved. So if you have not achieved that, nothing else is worth achieving. Now, after witnessing the second death, I started seriously contemplating on how this could be reproduced, how I can help people leave their body consciously. As I was telling you, I cannot go and stand in all the ICUs, which is impossible. And suddenly, like a lump, like a conscious ball, something landed in me. A formula happened in my consciousness. The formula revealed itself to me. This formula is what I call the Nithyananda Spurana program. So the first thing you must know is that energy is not bound by space or time. Energy is beyond time and space. All we need is a tuning system. That's it. So if you have a cable box in your house, you can just tune your television to any channel. If you tune to BBC, you can watch BBC. If you tune it to CNN, you can watch CNN channel. Whatever channel you tune into, you can see the program on that channel. Similarly, at the time of leaving the body, if you can tune yourself to consciousness, if you can tune yourself to thoughtless awareness, conscious experience, you will simply see that your life itself was a conscious experience. You will be able to beautifully and peacefully cross this ocean of samsara, the worldly life of engraved memories that you lived in all along, or ocean of all these 7 layers. In this program, we are going to work with this formula. Please understand. If you work seriously with the theory of gravity, you can always understand fully what Newton experienced. In the same way, work with this formula. When you work with this formula, you can simply experience what that person experienced. What has happened in my consciousness can happen in your consciousness also. All you need to do is work with this formula intensely. Just go with this formula as intensely as possible, and nothing else needs to be done. Another important question arises here. Forget about dying. What about living? Please be clear that as of now, all the 7 layers are not so clear as you think they are. It is like 7 coats that you are having. If you are wearing the 7 coats properly, you can remove them whenever you wish to and hang them on the wall. But as of now, you are not wearing these 7 coats properly. The first coat button is locked with the 7th coat. The third coat button is locked with the first coat. The second coat button is locked with the 4th coat, and so on. You see, if you can remove a coat whenever you want, it can be called a coat. If you cannot remove it, then it is not a coat. It is a bondage. Yes, we're experiencing a technical glitch. Please cooperate with us. I just need a few seconds to fix it. Yes. So if you have had a single conscious experience, you will not be continuously tortured, pulled and pushed by your samskaras or engraved memories. If you look back at your whole life, you will be able to understand what I'm saying. If you look back at your whole life with a little intelligence, you will be able to understand that you never really lived. Only your engrams, engraved memories lived through you. For example, So only your engrams, engraved memories lived through you. For example, suppose you have created a samskara that in the morning at 7 o'clock you need to drink coffee. So exactly at 7 a.m., you don't even have to look at the clock. The alarm will sound from within you. It will ask for your coffee. Like this, you have many samskaras. For example, every morning at 9 o'clock, your mind will automatically start worrying about your office. In the evening at 5 p.m., you will start worrying about your house. At night at 8 p.m., you will start worrying about your kids' education. If this becomes a routine, even on Sunday, you will start worrying about your office at 9 a.m. Even if you don't have to go to office, you will start worrying about it. And suddenly you will remind yourself, no, today is Sunday, so don't bother about it. We don't have to go to office. Even then, you will continue to have the same low mood during that time. Even your worry, your mind is nothing but recorded samskaras. Never think you are really living your samskaras. Your samskaras are living through you, that's all. These samskaras are recorded in all the 7 layers. Only when you cleanse your samskaras, your mental habits, do you start really living. When you can't sit with yourself, you miss a major dimension of your life. When I say you can't sit with yourself, I mean when you can't sit enjoying your own reality, your own self. And why can't you enjoy your own self? It is because your samskaras are enjoying you. Your samskaras are living through you. You are not living. That is the reason why you can't sit with yourself. You are driven continuously to do something. During these few days, all we are going to do is only one thing. Work intensely and cleanse the samskaras and have the conscious experience. At least one glimpse of thoughtless awareness. Just one glimpse of thoughtless awareness is enough. I request all of you to put your complete effort into this. Okay. So with that, we come to the conclusion. The next Acharya will be continuing she will be continuing and taking it up further. So we will now conclude here with the Purna Mantra. Okay, let us conclude with the Purna Mantra. Please sit with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Let us offer all our learnings, the knowledge that we derived, and all the experiences at Swamiji's holy feet. Let us offer it all at his holy feet with gratitude. Yes, please sit with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Let us chant the Purna Mantra. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sarvam Bhagavad Nithyananda Paramashivoham Padukarpanamastu Om Nithyanandam. Thank you all for your participation. Nithyanandam. Let us wait for the next Acharya. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
That is what is meant by this. Where the A begins, there the Nithyananda Spurana starts. a small story. A man, lean, thin, black, tired, enters into the cabin of the doctor. Doctor thoroughly diagnoses him and says, your health is pretty bad. You must stop smoking immediately. Then he asked, do you have the habit of drinking? Yes, doctor, every day I start my day. Only with some drinks. Then doctor said, no. From today, not even from today, from this moment, you should drop all your habits. It's a mandatory. You cannot have any more these habits. And the doctor said, well, now it's $30 fees for my advice. You can go. The man replied, well, doctor, but who is taking it? Who is going to take your advice? Whenever the rules and regulations are given, we have a natural tendency to resist. Whenever the spirituality starts with rules and regulation, it never enters inside. But to start with, no other way with rules and regulations only, we start. That's why we gave a few rules and regulations in the ASP. ASP is more like a set of rules with which you learn. But here, I'm going to break all the rules. It's more like a guidance. Understand, if you live with the head, if you live with the intellect, if you live with a sense of entering always into others' boundary, you need rules, you need regulations. Now come down from that level, have more space, give more space for others. Instead of always entering into others' boundary, now allow others to enter into your boundary. In ASP, we gave rules, regulations. The first session will be about the rules and regulations. Because we have a tendency in the society, always entering into others' territory. If you have 200 acre land also, when you put the fencing, at least 3 feet. Just 3 feet. Just 3 feet. You always feel. If you purchase 10,000 acres, again, just 3-4 feet. We have a tendency of entering into others' territory. That is the reason you needed rules and regulations, the first session. But here, now, you become naturally more mature, you have grown up. So you don't need rules and regulations. That is the first session starts with dancing, ecstasy. You don't need any rules or regulation. You know the basic things, the guidelines. That's the reason I don't want to give any rule or regulation. I'll just give you a few guidances to have maximum out of this 2 days. What the course is going to be, to tell you honestly, I do not know. I tell you honestly, I do not know. Somebody asked me yesterday night, somebody, what is this going to be? I said, I know only one thing is going to be grand. It is going to be ecstatic. When I came in the car, Machi was asking me, somebody, now at least you know what you are going to speak. I said, I know only one thing, what is going to happen, I know. I don't know what I am going to speak. It is more and more going to be exploring your inner layers. See, in the ASP you studied about the 7 chakras. It is going to be the work on the 7 layers of your body. It's like you have 7 sweaters, on. Because you have so many layers. You are not able to directly relate with the reality, that's one thing. Because you have not used those layers totally, the life is not tasted, enjoyed as it is, totally. We are going to work on the 7 layers of the body. There are going to be the techniques, methods to work on the 7 layers of the body. Somebody asked me, somebody is like an ASP. I tell you, it is not only not like ASP, it is not even a higher course for ASP. The ASP is totally different. This is going to be totally different. It is not a higher course. It is going to be totally different. So don't have any prejudice, any idea how this is to be, how this is going to be. Because whenever you come to know something earlier, you make totally a mental plan. What you are going to do, what you are going to do, what you are going to do. And then you exactly go out, go in and go out, come out. But here, I'm not going to give you any mental plan. Just continuously be alive and active. Respond to the situation. Spontaneously respond to every moment. Continuously be alive and respond to the moments. One more beauty, above all, even the next batch is going to attend Nithyananda's program, will know what is the program. See, you will know what is the program, then the whole beauty is lost. It is always, whenever you know the whole beauty is lost. Whenever you do not know, then the whole juice, the real juice is, when the whole thing is new. The next time when you all go and spread, naturally they will come with some idea. What it is going to be, how it is going to be. People ask me, Swamiji, if you advertise properly, how the program is going to be, we get more members. I said, no. I said, because no. I said, no, because I myself don't know what is going to be. Bodies. So there are 7 major parts or the elements in the body layers. You need to understand 3 things. First thing, because of these body layers, you are not relating with the reality as it is. Because always all the mystics they say, world is God. God is everything. Whatever you see is God. Everything is God. But we don't feel whatever we see as God. We only feel it as evil. We always feel everybody is trying to exploit us. Everybody is trying to enter into our territory. Everybody is trying to disturb us. So, what the mystic says is one thing, what you feel is totally different thing. Why we feel in this way? Because we are not able to relate to the reality as it is. First thing you need to understand. Next thing, because you are not used to these layers, they become just cancer. Whenever something is not used in your system, if something is separate, somebody asked me, why did you make the ASP as the basic necessity to attend the NSP? You see, the person who has done ASP, not only that he knows the language, he knows the chakras, he knows the basic meditation, he actually feels the intimacy with Master. Even if you have done all the everyday evening satsams, you will not feel the intimacy. Only when you have done the ASP, you will feel the intimacy. When you have intimacy, you can't close your eyes. In some meditations, I used to tell the people, all right, close your eyes. I've seen many people coming and telling me, Swami, just leave me, I'll open my eyes and sit and see. That is the greatest meditation. When you actually feel the intimacy, you can't close your eyes and sit. Only you are intellectual oriented, you can close your eyes and sit. So that is one more reason. There are so many things which happens when you do ASP, when you undergo the program. Not only you understand about chakras, you understand more. You understand just something happens to your being. When you don't use the energy layers, it becomes just a cancer. Whenever something is not becoming part of your being, part of your body, it becomes a separate growth. So these layers, if it does not become a part, it naturally becomes a cancer. That's the second thing. Third thing, unless otherwise you express, you start living these layers, you will never have the satisfaction that you lived. Because major portion of your life, if it's unlived, how will you have the satisfaction that you have lived? Not only for the spiritual growth, even for the ordinary outward things, ordinary outwardly things. So that is the reason we are going to explore what are these 7 chakras. We will penetrate and express the energies of the 7 chakras. This is what is going to happen in these 2 days. There are different techniques, methods to bring each and every body to your consciousness. Then when it is brought to the consciousness, it will be explored, it will be expressed. One more thing, you will be working with so many techniques related to imagination. You will be asked to visualize some things. We have a very deep distrust for visualization. We always think, oh, by imagination what can I achieve? By visualization what can I achieve? Understand, your whole life is nothing but visualization. Your whole life is nothing but imagination. You are sitting here itself is nothing but imagination. Don't think you are really sitting here. You think you are sitting here. You may feel. But of course, you will understand the truth of my statement before tomorrow evening. Before tomorrow evening, you will understand the statement. You will understand the truth of my statement. You will understand the truth of my statements before you leave tomorrow evening. The whole life is nothing but imagination. It's like one thorn is removed by another thorn. One thorn enters your leg. You take another thorn and remove it. The help of by this thorn. Same way, you have so many imaginations which has entered in you without your knowledge, without your consciousness. So now, the conscious imaginations are going to enter in you to do the process, to do the work. So whenever meditation instructions are given, just put your total energy, whole energy, a request. People who have not done ASP, please sit in the last row. You can do, you will be able to do. All my love and blessings, put your best, but don't interfere the crowd who have done ASP. Because naturally, they will have more understanding, they will have more grasping power, you can say that's the right word. They will be grasping more. People who have not done ASP, put your whole effort, then only you will be able to see the result. Next thing, the main thing, is almost like not only understanding, it's a cooperation which is needed from everybody. ASP is more like a program for common people. Anybody can enter there. Anybody can enter. It's more like you go to a doctor for cough or cold and you get the medicine and walk out. It's like a outpatients department. NSP is more like an inpatients department. It's going to be more like an operation. On every body, on every energy layer, we are going to work on your desires, on your imaginations, on your guilt, on your fantasies, on your depression. In every layer, we are going to work exactly on it. Because these are the layers which blacks are being. So when you are working on your guilt, sometimes when you are having some deep wound of the guilt, which can be simply released by asking, a simple solution will be there for the guilt. See, all big doors need only small keys. Door may be any size, but the key will be only this much. Just because you don't have this much size key, you are suffering in front of the door. If you have that small key, the very door will become a way. Most of our problems we suffer just because we don't have the small keys. No, not even a key, small pad. Just in a second. Take it out. For your problems also, naturally, the problem itself is simple, but you make it big, that is different. The solution is also very simple. If you can open out and tell the problem verbally, 2 things will happen. One is, I will know the problem and give you the key. Next thing, you yourself will know the problem. People come and tell me, Swamiji, why should I open my mouth and tell my problem? You know everything. You can really know what my problem is. I tell them, I tell you to talk out your problem, not for myself. I know your problem. If you speak out, you will know your problem. Most of the time, you yourself don't know. You know only feel the low energy, low mood. You never feel the reason. You never understand the reason. When you verbalize it, when you talk it out, first thing you will understand. So, you will have a space, a loving atmosphere, where you can express it out. When you express it out, you will get a clear solution because of this there will be so many people who will be talking their personal life, opening up their personal problems. So all of you take your oath, take your vow. You will not go outside and speak about their problems. Understand? It is a commitment towards each of you. You are committed to other. The other is committed to you. And my habit of speaking about others, it will never change. It is so tasty speaking others' problems. Speaking others' problems and speaking ill of others is such a tasty thing for us. You know, after the food they won't swallow only the bitter leaf. They will swallow somebody else's head also. Then only the bitter leaf is tasty. The leaf gets more taste when you swallow others' head also. In South India you should see after the noon meal, they will stretch their legs outside house, veranda. The bitter leaf, they will apply the lime, make the palm, then slowly they will start. What has happened to that fellow? Whom she's running away? Running away is the first thing. Who has run away with whom? Who is having an affair with whom? And you see, it's so satisfying. And really, it just makes you regenerate. Almost like it just makes you regenerate. You have a tendency, curiosity to know about others and to know about others' personal life. That is the reason so much these yellow magazines are getting sold. Yellow magazine means magazine which writes about others' personal life, others' sex life or violent life. The crime magazines and the sex magazines, why they are getting so much sold? Because you feel it so tasty when you know somebody else's personal life. I've seen many people asking their organizers what Swami is doing in the morning time, where he is going, what he is going to do, what he will do in the evening. And what you are going to do? You will be there surely in the evening program, public function. For public function, you will be there. You come, that's enough. But they are not happy. They are not satisfied. They ask, here's Swami, here's Ogan Stanley. I saw him earlier, he was wearing the plastic chapel. What all he wears? What all he uses? So much curiosity. It means so much means you are because no way I am related to them. It means that they want to know so many other things. You see, many people are saying, nobody wanted to know how he became enlightened, how I can become enlightened, I can also become enlightened, or how he can help me, or how I can also be helped by him. That nobody wants. What he wears. And I've seen many people asking, they're saying, Swami, it's so nice. Is he using any costumes? Really? Is he using any oil for his hair? What type of powder he's using? See, it's just a curiosity. Am I right? People ask all these things. First thing, I never use anything that is different. And I don't even comb my hair properly. There is. And the curiosity of the people. We are so curious to know about everyone's life. We're just sitting and collecting materials to go and talk outside. If you do that, you are disturbing the benefit of others. Please be very clear. Now, just for these 2 days, take an oath. I will not go and talk outside what I heard from others. What I heard from others. It is a promise you are giving to keep others' privacy. You see, if you don't take the promise, if you are not ready to take the promise, I am not going to lose anything. You are going to lose. It is each one of you who are going to lose. So now you need a social commitment to have the maximum from me, to have the best out of this class. Please be very clear. To have the maximum from the ASP. If you are prepared, that's enough. Alone. But to have the maximum from NSP, the whole group needs to be prepared. That is why I avoided the people who are not in ASP. But be very clear, you need to respect the privacy of others. Each one has got their own thing to speak, their own thing to ask, their own thing to tell. First thing, don't carry tales. Don't carry tales. It's a very sincere guidance from my side. One more thing, when I say how the course is going to be, I myself do not know. I mean, I know the whole thing. What is going to happen, I know. But how much you are going to use it, I do not know. It is in your hands. If the whole group cooperates, only then the next technique will be more deeper. It's like a traveling in the deep forest. It is going to be more like a traveling in the deep forest. See, the whole ASP was more like a plane. The NSP is more going to be like a traveling in the deep forest. Of course, your eyes will be tied. You will be blindfolded. What is the best way to travel in the forest if your eyes are blindfolded? Hold the hands of master. Then you will see. You will be able to use totally. You will be able to have the maximum benefit. So just put your whole effort. Understand? Here we are on the journey. That's what they call the mystery work. It is going to be more like a mystery work. And every meditation, everyone is going to have a touch. You understand? In every meditation, I'm going to come around everybody. Come here, everybody. Don't think it's not like a mass sermon. ASP. ASP, any thousand can attend. Any number of thousands can attend. But it's not going to be like a ASP. If you have the benefit, you have. If you don't. That's the ASP. But here, everyone I'm going to attend. Everyone I'm going to come here. On every meditation technique. Not on only one technique. On every meditation technique, I'm just going to be around you. You are going to relate with me. It's more or less like an operation. One thing, if you have only an intellectual relationship with me, please leave the hall. If you really have a heartfelt relationship with me, then only you can be here. In ASP, I ask the people to question. They can question me. They can trespass me. But here, it is totally going to be not a relationship of logic or intellect. It is more going to be like a feeling of love. You are just going to travel in the path holding my hands. It needs love and a tremendous trust. It needs a tremendous trust and love. Not simple intellectual relationship. There are people, you see, I always tell my discourses, don't have faith in me. Just doubt as much as possible. Carry on your doubt, then the doubt will guide you. These are all only for the people who have done the first level. Only for the people of ASP. Now, you need to put your whole effort and you need to just travel with me. Totally. Layer by layer, step by step. Unless you travel, you see, unless I feel satisfied the whole group is entering into meditation, naturally I will be stuck. I will not be able to lead the whole group into the next meditation. If I really find one or two people who are not putting their effort, you should forgive me, you will be sent out. Of course, your money will be refunded. That is different, but you will be sent out. Because I don't want the group to suffer just because of one or two persons. Just because of one or two persons, the group cannot suffer. It's going to be more like a journey. I wanted everyone to taste the spirituality, glimpse of the God in a solid way. It's going to be more like a deal. Either have experience or refund. It's going to be more like an American deal. Yes, money back guarantee. You see, I was spending my whole life and energy telling them, hey, close your eyes and meditate. And those idiots, after 10 hours of meditation, they'll be just sitting and watching others. 10 hours of discourse, they'll be just sitting and watching others. Now I don't want to deal anymore with fools. I wanted at least few group who are courageous to have the taste of reality. You see, to have the taste of spirituality, you need courage. I tell you. To enjoy the bliss, you need courage, actually. Because the bliss does so much for you, you are just taken. You are just flowing. To flow, you need courage. Actually. To stand in the ground, you don't need courage. But to jump in the water and to flow in the water, you need courage. It's going to be more like a jumping inside and flowing. Just floating. So I want only the people who are really courageous, who can put their effort into the meditation. Not, oh, I had a good weekend, let me go and spend it on me. So be very clear. Of course, it is going to be a very great experience, but it needs a lot of courage, which needs to put your effort, which needs to, the whole process is going to be about relaxation. That is why you need to put your effort. Because you've forgotten the way to relax. These 2 days is going to be totally relaxation. Because you've forgotten what is relaxation, you need to put your effort. You will have the oath. You all will close your eyes. Let me finish the thing. Close your eyes and take the oath consciously. You see, it's a commitment, promise to the energy. You will not go and talk outside after these 2 days about the personal life of everyone, because there will be so many who will be expressing their questions, their lives, their miseries, or their problems. They will be asking. It is not going to be like an ASP, the master program. I am going to relate with every one of you individually. So many will be asking their personal things. So if you try to go and express outside, you are just doing Guru Droga. Understand? It's a Guru Droga. It's going to be just cheating or exploiting the trust of the other. So never go and speak outside about others' problems or others' words, because everyone has got their own life. Who are we to judge or to comment? Next thing, don't judge somebody. Never judge. Are you here to give judgment? Are you here to give a judgment? Are you here to judge somebody? If you are, please leave the hall. Here nobody is there to judge others. Each one has come, grow themselves, to expand in their own way, to have the taste of spirituality, to have some benefit in their life. Each one has got their own reason for being here. So never judge others' reasons. Never judge others' life. Never judge other beings. Be very clear. Take a strong, conscious decision. You will not go and speak outside about others' life. You will not, the same way, have it in your mind and behave with them. Not only you will not speak. One more thing. If you know something of their life, then after going outside, oh, this guy, I know about him. And you will be thinking, that foolish guy expressed all his life. He spoke about all his personal life. I am so intelligent, I never spoke anything. I was just as I am. I behave very gentleman way. Be very clear, you are the worst fool. It's a beautiful opportunity to open yourself, to open your Pandora box, to open your being. When you open here, the master will be here to clean. The master's energy is here. It can clean you up. If you feel you are very intelligent, when not opening up, be very clear to other, you miss the great chance, other possibility of opening. I have seen many people. One of our devotee, he had an affair, extra affair. Of course, he was courageous enough to tell others, that's all. He was having a deep guilt for it. Deep guilt because of that. Finally, a time came, because of that guilt, not only he dropped the affair, he was not able to mentally drop. He has dropped the affair physically, but mentally he was not able to drop. It was just like a heavy thing on his mind. He says, in day, in the morning till night, day in and day out, my being is just being suppressed. I'm feeling suffocated. I'm feeling heaviness. And he came and spoke to me about this problem. He just told everything in a patient way. I listened in a detailed way. And finally just said, put the hand on his head, told him, don't worry, it is healed, you will not have any more guilt. That's all, nothing else. Of course, after a month when I saw him, I saw what has happened. Your face has changed totally. Your eyes have become alive, living. He said, Swamiji, I do not know what has happened. But one thing I am sure, I have totally forgotten the very root of the guilt. The very root of the guilt has disappeared. When you open the layers of your mind, layers of your being, energy directly enters. See, as long as you keep it closed, you keep it locked, the energy never penetrates. When you open, the energy totally penetrates it. Energy is being flooded. Originally, the confession technique, it's a technique designed based on this philosophy only. Of course, when you confess to the masters, that is, you will be healed. Ordinary confessions are not going to help you. In the master's presence, whenever you open something, it is totally washed and cleansed. It is totally purified. And not only master purifies it, you yourself will know what was happening inside. Only when you verbalize. Only when you bring it out. So, please understand, not only you will not speak outside ill or the things which are expressed here. You will not have the prejudice or a wrong opinion about them. You should not form your own opinion about them, what you are listening from here. So never judge others. Stop the idea of judging others. You are not common civilians. Understand, you are seekers. I don't want civilians here. I don't want anybody who is living in the society here. I want only seekers who are ready to commit and give preference to the spiritual growth. I want here only the people who are ready to taste meditation, who are ready to taste the spiritual life. That is why I made a lot of rules, a lot of filtering before entering here itself. This is not the open invitation. KSP is an open invitation. You can say, then why did you invite me? Here, it is not open invitation. It's only for the chosen few. So now I tell you, you are going to travel a journey which is really going to be beautiful, which is going to be full of flowers. I don't want any thorns. If you are a thorn, you will be disturbing others. So just become a flower or escape from here. So I tell you, put your whole effort. Don't have anything, any praise or hangover of the society. In outside world, you may be a person with a sharp tongue talking about others. That may be your hobby. But here, at least these 2 days, never do that. And one more thing, outside whatever way you may have been, relating with each other. You may be friends, or you may be enemies, you may be husband, wife, you may be son and father, you might have had any relationship. Now, in this hall, please keep all your relationship outside. Here, just be individuals. All your relationships, just drop outside. In the path of spirituality, you cannot travel together. It is that? Okay, no. The breath, better let me express my own way. You are confusing much more than me. The breadth of the path is only 1 feet. Only one man can travel. It is always individuals who traveled and experienced. Even in the case of Ramakrishna and Sharada Devi, they both have become enlightened, but only individually, not together. So, the spiritual path is only for individuals. Now for these 2 days, be totally individual, physically and mentally. Now for these 2 days, you are individual. So put your whole effort, only then you will be able to see the ultimate, and see the maximum from this. So it's going to be more like a path of mystery. It's going to be more like a alchemy of spirituality. In ASP, even if you don't practice much, okay, alright, but it's not going to be like this here. Fire. If you are wood, you will also catch fire at the temperature. If you are a banana tree, not only you will not burn, you will reduce the temperature. And the whole group will suffer. It is going to be more like a working as a total energy. I'm just going to guide the whole group, the whole energy level to the higher level. It is going to give you a glimpse of eternal bliss. You see, you had a glimpse in ASP, but after a few days, slowly started coming down. But I wanted to give you some glimpse which can never become dull. Ramakrishna says, if it's a brass vessel, how much you wash it? Only 1 day it will be bright, next day it's out. If it's a gold vessel, every day it will always will be just continuously shining. So I want to give you the touch of philosopher's stone. Philosopher's stone means you understand. If that stone touches, then everything will become gold. So it is going to be more like a intense meditation or intense energy sessions. So put your whole effort, no reservations. If any of you are here out of curiosity, oh, what is Swami teaches, let me go and see. Please leave the hall. This is not the place. For curiosity, you can attend ASP, no problem. But this is not for curious crowd. This is only for the crowd who really wants to have the experience, test. In ASP, I am not able to give experience to so many persons. Experience means the higher levels of spiritual experience, because the techniques are very soft. More than that, people won't be able to do. You understand? More than that, people won't be able to do. But this is not going to be like that. That is the reason I selected. I filtered enough. So I trust you. That is why I give you the higher and higher levels of meditations and higher levels of experiences. So every one of you take a deep oath. I will put my whole effort. I will not tell tales or carry tales. I will not go and speak outside ill of others or even think ill of others. So when you leave this hall tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, forget the other stories. Carry only your stories. When you remember your story, you will make history. When you remember other stories, you will only just be an ordinary person. So these are the few things I want you to understand. Because I will be guiding you in various steps through your desires, guilt, depression. So many lines will be traveling. So wherever you feel you have some issues, you are stuck, you can always express. So just be open, fresh, just like a child. Small story. Is a master. Was living in Japan. The governor of Japan has gone to see him. His name is Kitakaki. The man sent his visiting card. I think you must have heard the story. The man sent his visiting card to the master through his disciple. The card reads, Kitakaki, governor of Japan. When the card reached the master, he said, this idiot cannot learn Zen. Send him out. When the card has come back to the king with the same words, master said, like you idiots can't learn Zen. See, the enlightened people, they don't speak a polished language. They're very truthful, straight. Sometimes even it looks like a harsh, but no other way. Truth always hurts. He said, the disciple said, my master said, idiots like you can't learn Zen. Please leave the hall. But the king understood the whole thing. He took a pencil and erased the word. Removed the word, governor of Japan, and told the disciple, please now you carry this card and give it to him. The disciple carried the card and it has been handed over to the guru. The master said, oh, the Kitakaki has come, please bring him in. The story means, just leave your head outside. Not only your power, prestige, name and fame. Idea of your age. Idea, you are elder, you are younger, you are male, you are female. Forget everything just for 2 days. Then you will be able to travel with me more quickly. You are just a being. You are just a being. Don't think I'm elder. He should have respected me. She should have respected me. And these and that. Drop all these small issues. Don't have any of these small things. Just become mature. Just become mature. When I say the word mature, I tell you, don't bother about anything else. Whether the food has come in the right time, or the room has come at the proper time, or in my room the hot water is not coming, or I've left my cell phone, it has disappeared. Don't bother about all these things. Don't bother about the small things just for these next 2 days. Nothing is going to come with you. So I wanted a right place, right persons on whom I can unload myself. I can share myself. So this is totally a different angle, I can say. It's totally a different dimension. From totally different dimension you are going to work. It's more like a, that's what I said now, money back guarantee. I wanted every one of you to taste the glimpse, to taste the bliss, which is beyond body, beyond mind, before tomorrow evening. It's not that only you wanted to have experience, even I wanted to unload, even I wanted to share. Whenever every master happens to this earth, it's like a weight on them. The energy is just like a weight on them. It just searches for the right persons who will share it, who will have it, who will enjoy the bliss. You do not know. When a man becomes enlightened, you all will be thinking, oh, he's free from all the bondages. He has become free man, free being. Don't think. The responsibility with enlightenment is not a small thing. The responsibility which comes to you with enlightenment is not a small thing. It is the greatest responsibility. Of course, you have the greatest freedom, that is different. But the greatest responsibility. So now, let you all be very clear. You are ready for the process, ready for the next steps. Drop all these small silly things. These 2 days just enjoy a different atmosphere. None of the nobody has come here to exploit you the same way. Don't have a fixed defensive mechanism around you. There is no need to defend yourself. Nobody has come here to exploit others. Everybody has come here to taste the joy, taste the bliss. Drop your defensive mechanism and don't enter into others' territory. Understand this both. Drop your defensive mechanism, don't enter into others' territory. When you drop the idea of entering others' territory, only then he can drop his defensive mechanism. So both are just interrelated. When you drop both, only then you will be able to really experience the taste or the joy of meditation. So it is going to be more like a commitment, a total commitment. A commitment in the group level. Individual commitment is perfectly alright. But when you go in a deeper and deeper level, it's going to be more like a commitment in the group level. So you have a few minutes to introduce yourself and get to know about each other. I think many of you are from different places. So I have a few minutes to know about each other. One more thing I want to tell you. At the time of the leaving the body, nobody else, nothing else is going to be with you except the master. Except the master's presence. What happens at the time of leaving body, I'll tell you. Of course, these all don't have logical proof. I can't give a certificate or video proof. I can give only my experience. Whether you believe or don't believe, it's your headache. Because I'm fed up with quoting these foolish scientists. You see, everything, to express the truths of the rishis, to express the ultimate experience of the rishis, I have to quote foolish scientists and psychologists. You see, it is supposed to be otherwise. Vyasa, Vasishta, Vishwamitra will be authorities, and these fellows should take them as a quotation. But your mind has become such. When these people, the psychologists and the doctors, when they want to prove their ideology, they have to quote Vishwamitra, Vasishta, Vyasa. Because our mind is so westernized, so much filled with this logic. We have to quote these people to prove Vyasa and Shankara. So I'm not going to give you any proofs for these 2 days. Whether you believe, it is up to you, or you don't. If you don't, that's also up to you. I tell you, from my own experience, when you leave the body, see, if you just scratch your body half inch, how much is painful. Understand? When you leave the body, 6 inches is they are going to open. 6 feet, not even 6 inches. The whole 6 feet you are going to just torn. It is going to be more like 1,000 scorpions biting at one time. Every moment, every inch will be painful. Every inch will be just excruciating. At those times, except the presence of the master, nothing else will stand with you. I have seen the people dying. Of course, I myself have died. That's why I'm sitting here. I myself had that experience. That's why I'm sitting here. At those moments, whatever you live, all your life, you see the whole life will come in a short form, like a fast forward. At the time of leaving body, you will leave the 7 layers. Actually, from the physical body, you will go to the mental body, from mental to etheric. The 7 layers of body you will be leaving. It takes at least some, I can say, for a normal average being, it takes some 7 to 8 hours. It takes. The whole time will be excruciating pain. When you leave the one body to other body, the whole life you live, you will see fast forward. The whole thing will come in a slide form. Whatever you've done, the major incidents will come in a slide form. From that only you choose the next life. How you live in this life, what ideology you live. You see the whole thing is in a, what to say, in a just main slides you will see. From that slide only, you will choose the next life. You will choose how to travel your journey next. How your journey is going to be afterwards. From that thing only you will be choosing the course of your life. One thing I need you to understand, at that moment, except the moments with master, all the other moments will become black and white. Now, the moments, the time you spend with master looks like a black and white. And all other life looks like a 4 color. That is why maybe you don't need Swami, Valentine's Day you kept. Just on exactly Valentine's Day you kept. Why not this weekend or that weekend? I told them, if the Valentine's Day looks more colorful, let them go there. If they feel living with me is more colorful, let them come here. I wanted purposely to have a conscious choice. If the Valentine's Day is more colorful, let them have that. If living with me is going to be more colorful, let them come to be around me. Let them choose. Let them have decision. You see, at those moments, now, when you live, the moments of life are 4 color. The moments with master looks like a black and white, dull. At that moment, it will be totally opposite. The matter will become black and white, energy will become 4 color. Energy will become 4 color, matter will become black and white. Because once you leave the physical body, all your whatever attachments, wealth you have, everything becomes useless. It's just useless. You can't sign your will anymore. You can't sign your check anymore. You can't even know what's your bank balance. You can't even just have a glimpse of your car, which you had for so many years. So everything will be black and everything will become black and white. And the moments in which you spend with your master, with energy, the conscious moments, the experience of bliss, those moments will become color. So when this happens, 2 things happen. One is you get a tremendous healing. Healing means the excruciating pain will disappear. You will feel, yes, you have lived some moments. You have some colorful moments. You have, if you never lived with the master, or if you never had any spiritual experience, your whole life will be just black and white. The pain will be just excruciating. There will be nothing. When you look back, you will see, oh, there's nothing lived. So you enter into a deep depression, and from the depression coma, you take the next Janma. That is what regularly happens. You enter into deep depression coma and take the next Janma. That is what is the regular happening. That is all the truth. And if you find, of course, if you are a meditator, then you can understand. If a person dies, if you be around him, you can see an excruciating pain in his being, pain in his face. He enters into the coma, understanding that he has never achieved anything. And then he takes the next birth. When he takes the next birth, again he forgets what for he has taken a birth. And goes around the same chakra. And again taking birth. That becomes a vicious circle. If you really have some glimpse of with the master, experience with master, at that moment, that will become Kailasa. Because once you go inner the body, inner layers, you never leave inner layers. You leave only the physical layer. So when you leave the physical layer, go inside. Whole thing will be just black and white, just dark. Nothing will be there inside. But if you really had a glimpse of the master, as the energy, as the meditation, there will be light inside. You will see the whole thing in a color. So the master's energy, or the movements of the master, that will be color, that will be full color. At the time when you see him, when you see those movements, you will have a tremendous healing effect on your pain. You will not have excruciating pain. Because you know that you are living something. There is something working in your life. Next thing, the tremendous surrender to the master happens. And naturally, when you surrender to the master at those moments, your whole energy enters into consciousness. The master is ultimate consciousness. Your whole energy enters into consciousness. When you enter into consciousness, again you will be given a choice whether to take birth as you want or to become enlightened. That is the importance of the master. See, the importance of the master is only at the moment of leaving the body. It is only at the moment of leaving body you will understand what the difference is. At those moments only you can exactly understand what great help is happening to you. What great help has happened to you. Because now you measure even the energy only with the material prosperity. Even the energy is measured only with the material prosperity. Because this is the 4 color scene. This is 2 color scene. Black and white. At that moment it will become totally topsy-turvy. This will become black and white, not even black and white, dark. And that will become color. I hope all of you understand what I say. All of you understood? Any question?
You are saying something clearing 6 feet.
From your whole body, the consciousness will be taken away. See, it's like clearing the 6 inch. But when you leave the body, the whole consciousness will be just torn. It will be just taken away from your body. What's there? You will be having excruciating pain. You will enter into coma. That is what again and again people say. When you are living, have glimpse of meditation. Because at that time, this touch only will help you. At that time, to have the path, only this touch is going to help you. That is the reason I tell you. Once you have some conscious experience, at the grace of the master, at the blessing of the touch of the master, at those moments you will see exactly his presence, or his energy will be there to guide you layer by layer. Layer by layer. So not only that, you see, once you have the glimpse, already the path is ready. You already penetrated all the 7 bodies. You will not have the pain. To make the new road only, you have to suffer. Already road is there, you need to suffer. There is no need to suffer. Having the spiritual experience means already the path, the bodies are penetrated. The layers are penetrated. The layers are already touched. The road is already made. It's like a tunnel. The tunnel is already ready. You can just travel. You will see the light of the consciousness just guiding you. People prepare so much to live, but nobody prepares to die. When you really prepare to die, only then you can really live. This is a preparation for life and for death. And moreover, the tremendous excruciating pain will disappear when you see a light at the moment of leaving the body. When you see the glimpse of energy, see, even if you see one scene, then you will understand, really I've done something. I've achieved something. That is the reason why so much the meditation and the spiritual experience is emphasized in our life. But can I tell all these things in the public? First thing I need to give proof. Actually, I hate to quote all these fellows. But no other way, what to do? The logic mind accepts only when he quotes some researchers, when he quotes some so-called scientists, when he quotes some people of psychology. But these are much more greater truths, much more deeper truths, which needs experience. Just because these experiences cannot be proved. Across the table, I was not able to speak the truth. But who is only anyhow? Let you understand, at least you can understand. That is why in Tantra, there's a beautiful verse. Shiva says, the Nandi comes and asks to Shiva, oh God, I am your disciple, I am serving you so much. Can't you teach me Tantra? Uma is also recommending, why don't you teach him? I never asked you, you taught me. But he's asking you, why don't you teach him? The Shiva says, because he's logical, he's asking. But Tantra cannot be taught to the people who are logical. It cannot be taught to the people who are logical. Yoga can be taught for the people who are logical. That's why yoga has become so popular. But never Tantra. Yoga has become so popular because yoga is logical. It can be taught to the people who are logical. But when you go a little higher, when you go inside the spiritual world, no logic helps you. No logic works you. The scale of logic is not going to help you. For the outer world, you need logic. For the inner world, you need trust. Only that can guide you. Otherwise, it's not going to help. So it is going to be more like an experience, more like seeing, more like being, than like thinking. It's not going to be more like a discourse. It's going to be more like an experiencing. Of course, because I want to give you an introduction, a clear-cut introduction, what we are going to do. So with this understanding, we'll be able to really have the solid experience. We'll be able to really have something. Otherwise, why are you necessarily going and wasting 2 days? Your 2 days and my 2 days. It's not necessary. So we are here as a committed seekers to search the truth and have at least one glimpse of divinity. Have at least one glimpse of spirituality. Of course, many of you had already at least one glimpse in ASP. But I wanted you to have a solid experience which completely stays with you, which never gets faded away, which is never taken away when you live the life, which just like a fire or the energy which will be continuously alive in you, reminding you, or speaking to you. self. When you disappear in the energy, it will just become the humming. Forget the body and mind in the humming. Just become the energy. Fortunately, there's no democracy. There's no group which can certify. If you need certificate, I think you have to wait. Still, you have not started issuing certificates. The consumption of alcohol once in a while disturbs the spiritual growth. Let me honestly answer. I don't see directly hurting your spiritual growth, but I do see it hurts your balanced living. See, if you are just bothered about enlightenment, I don't see directly hurting your enlightenment because I've seen. I asked one Baba with whom I had a fortune of living. No doubt he's an enlightened person. I asked him, why are you smoking this? He said, the elephant cannot be tied into a small hut. It has to be dull. It has to stay inside a small hut. Same way, a Paramashivoham cannot stay inside a small body. He has to be dull to stay in a small body, 6 feet body. So I don't see directly it hurts your enlightenment. But I can say, your physical and mental balance will be disturbed. You can't reach to enlightenment. Understand? Let me clearly say, after enlightenment it does not hurt. But before enlightenment, it delays your growth. It delays your growth. What is living life according to Dharma? If you just live your desires without living others' desires, that is what I call Dharma. Your desires means live with what you want, not just because how others live. The big problem. Now this session, we are going to analyze only what is your desire and what is others' desires which you are carrying. We will work on it, then you understand the answer for this question. If you heal somebody to take away his bad karma and does that affect you? No. You see, it's like when sun rises, automatically the darkness disappears. Do you think the sun is changing the darkness? No. Just by the presence of the sun, darkness disappears. So just by the presence of an enlightened being, karma disappears. Karma is nothing but the darkness. Darkness has no positive existence. It has no positive existence. Lightlessness is karma. Lightlessness is darkness. Energylessness is karma. The energy happens, suddenly the karma disappears. Let me give you an example. If you use a camera and take photograph, the picture, the scene which was in front of the camera settles on the film for 1 second. After that, if you take the film out and show it to the front of the sun, what will happen to the form which got printed? It will expose. It will disappear. Your karma is also same way. It's a print of your life. If you just expose your film in a space to master, it will completely erase, exposed. Whatever was there printed on the film will disappear. Your inner space is a film, the planet Earth is a scene. You catch that for one moment. Whatever is printed, you leave that. Open the inner space and expose it to master's presence. It will just be exposed and cleaned. I don't take up the bad karma, I don't suffer the bad karma. Just it disappears. Otherwise, how many thousands of cancers will what will happen to my body? No. No. Nothing affects me. Physically or mentally. And I don't have a mind to suffer. That is why I'm just leaving the whole thing. Joyful. This whole infrastructure is created in a very funny way. Whole thing is created in a very playful way. Somebody is asking, yesterday we had a second energy body. Please tell us the name and details of third energy levels. Now we are going to work one by one, layer by layer. You will have details out of it. Does fasting help for spiritual progress? Please don't do every day. Maybe once in 15 days you give some 12 hours gap. It can help you to clean your body. Once in 15 days, maybe you can choose the Pradosham. Pradosham means the day before, full moon day or new moon day. Just 12 hours gap. Morning 6 evening 6:20. That's all. So, apart from that, there's no place for fasting in our life. It does not directly help for enlightenment. It helps you to keep clean your body. Keep your body clean. Where does Shambhala fit in the seven structured bodies? Shambhala is the seventh body. Here is the question. Another question. Swamiji is dying always so pleasant. Do people who kill themselves or die in accidents feel so good? Now I wanted to explain exactly how this NSP, this whole program happened in my NS case. How I designed, developed this program. Why I designed? See, 9 years I spent in wandering, length and breadth of India. Now I want to take a oath, whatever I am going to say is truth, nothing but truth. You may think why? Because usually, whenever people listen something beyond their logic, either they resist or they just keep quiet. They don't allow the words to enter their being. If they are little arrogant, they shout back. They say, get lost, it's all lies, don't talk. If they are not that courageous, they just keep quiet. They say, all right, let me talk, whatever I want to talk, what is there? Anyhow, I have come, I have visited here for 4 days, I have to listen to whatever he talks. Whether it is making sense or nonsense. They just sit. They do not allow those words to work.